All right, call our regular meeting to order. Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Mayor Brykers,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Albritton,
Present.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Kozinski.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Great, thank you. And we have the honor of having Boy Scouts lead us in the pledge this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, that would be great. Here, Steph. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Come on up front. Come on, hop along. Yeah, that would be awesome. Senator, would you like to join? Come on up.
I'm getting in front of you, Shorty. Come on in, guys. Oh. Guys, make room for the senator.
No, I'm right here. They have my face.
Okay, they got the important part. Come on over, Edward. Not that much.
Right there. Don't worry. Look at Marty.
Remember, don't make me look fat.
All right.
By the way, both of my sons are Eagle Scouts.
I'm talking about yours. I'm talking about yours truly.
Yeah, I was a Boy Scout.
But, you know, both my
Girl
boys.
Scout boy. Just go strong on things, David. Just agree to say yes.
I think it conflicts. I think it conflicts, but I have to double check.
All right, very good. Senator Geller, we are very pleased to have you join us this evening. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here and provide an update, and always welcome in the town of Southwest Ranch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Steve Geller. Hopefully all of you know I'm your Broward County Commissioner, or I should say I used to be your Broward County Commissioner. I now, in the recent reapportionment, I used to have all of Southwest Ranches. I used to go out to US 27. Now I stop at around I-75, so I represent about half of Southwest Ranches, because, as you know, Southwest Ranches is not contiguous to Southwest Ranches. So, but we're in my district right now. Always a pleasure to be here. And as I saw the Boy Scouts leave, as I'd said, both of my sons are Eagle Scouts, so I always got my 2 tickets there. If anybody would like them, I'll give them away. Again, prior to my being on the commission, I was in the Florida legislature for 20 years, 9 years in the House, 11 in the Senate, and I've been on the county commission now since 2016. I was mayor of Broward County last year. Really, I'm going to hear mostly to answer your questions, but let me just give you a brief overview. Since I was elected, both as a commissioner and as mayor, my top priority has been the creation of high-paying jobs in Broward County. I think that issues of increasing income inequality are a problem, and I think the best way of fixing those is by creating more high-paying jobs. So I've been working very hard to do that. I have created a task force which meets every 2 months to try and work on bringing the skilled trade jobs back to Broward. If you've noticed, the median age of a plumber, an electrician, an HVAC mechanic, the median age of all of these is in the 50s. And these are critical jobs because if we don't have them, Broward's going to come grinding to a halt. And part of the problem is, 110% of parents want their kids to go to college. And that's a slight exaggeration, but the number really is in the 90%, north of 90. And candidly, not all of those people are going to go to college, nor do they need to. If you are a licensed electrician, if you have your journeyman's license and you're working 50 hours a week, and I'm 63 and I still work more than that, although I don't work nearly as hard as they do. I mostly sit down and talk to people. But if you're 5 years after you get your journeyman's license, if you're working 50 hours a week, which is 40 hours at regular and 10 at time and a half, if you're not at $100,000 a year, you're pretty close to it. And these are the kinds of middle-class jobs that built this country. They're not exportable to other countries, and we need more of them. And so I've been working on creating more jobs in that area, working with the school board, state of Florida, the contractors, the unions, the subcontractors, and just about everybody else, trying to attract more people into that position. Yesterday, we had the grand opening of the Levan Center, because all of Davie is in my district, but when I was working, when they were starting that up, I took the lead on that because, again, if you have not been out to the Levan Center at Nova Southeastern, you really ought to tour the place. It is a business incubator with the resources of a major research university there. Broward County has always been good at creating jobs, but not at growing companies into bigger companies. We're changing that now. And I think the Levan Center is going to be a huge boon for the area because now when the companies start and they want to grow big, they can go to, at the university, the medical school, the science schools, if they need advice, they can go to the business school or the law school. And this will be making a tremendous contribution to the economy of Broward County. And the last thing I was going to mention on jobs was film. There was an article on that in the newspaper today where you will see that actually it was announced yesterday that in downtown Lauderdale we're going to be building the largest privately funded film soundstage at least south of Orlando. I don't know what they have in Orlando, but I assume with Disney and Universal they probably have. But right now the largest soundstage in Broward is 6,000 square feet. These people are coming in to build 6 18,000 square foot sound stages. Again, the median salary statewide is between 99 and 100,000. I assume it's higher here in South Florida. You heard me say median. I always care about median salary and not about average because on average, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 10 of us and Bill Gates, all 11 of us on average are billionaires. So I always look for the median, not the average, because average is so misleading. But I've been spending a lot of time. We have reinstated our film incentive program, and you should know that is important to Southwest Ranches. One of the people who I gave the key to the county to is one of the most well-known Hispanic actors worldwide is a gentleman named William Levy, who, by the way, lives in Southwest Ranches. And I was visiting yesterday with another Hispanic film star, Marjorie DeSouza, or D'Souza? D'Souza, sorry. It's spelled Desousa, so I wasn't sure how it was pronounced. very nice lady. And she was telling me that when we were discussing things, she was, oh, yes, Broward County, it's wonderful. I've filmed before in, where was it? Southwest Ranches. So I think that our growing the film industry obviously is also going to be helpful to this lovely town because there's so many wonderful locations, so many houses that will be that people will want to be shooting here. I think you'll find this a big help. The last thing I wanted to talk about was I've received several requests recently for Southwest Ranchers, including for things that are in my district, which were my new district, which were including a letter to Congressman Wasserman Schultz in support of the drainage program off of Dykes Road. And my attitude is, even though it's not in my district, I represent Southwest Ranches. Whether or not that particular area is in my district, anytime that you need anything for the town of Southwest Ranches, please call me and I will be there to assist. I have town meetings now post-COVID. I used to have town meetings in every city I represent. Southwest Ranches I've chosen instead because I barely get 20 or 30 people in a city of 100,000. So at Southwest Ranches, you will recall I have been here before, and it will be my intent to come back here every year to speak to your town council. And other than that, if there is anything I can do, I frequently have received calls from a lot of the council members here, far out of proportion to the percentage of my district. But call me. I mean, if any of you don't have my cell phone, I know some of you do, ask Andy, he'll give it to you. I don't mind your calling me at home. We all represent the same people. We all represent the citizens of this area, so I don't mind your calling me on evenings or weekends. We are all elected officials working together. Tell me what I can do to help you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You've always been a great supporter, great defender of all of the events that we have out here and the issues that we have also. So thank you
Which
for all
I
the
should have
support.
mentioned, you've also asked me about, not you necessarily, but the town has asked me about support for 2 road projects, which I
Yeah, we were going to get to
yes,
those.
I'm supportive of. Okay.
Welcome, Senator, and thanks for coming out tonight. Yeah, if you recall back when we kicked off Water Leaders and Resilience Academy in Broward, I came right up to you that day and said, I need your help.
Uh-huh.
And you gave me some homework assignments. You asked me to go out and get the support of the other adjoining cities that would also benefit from the projects. And we've been working with Davie and Weston on one project that is right up here at Dykes Road, Dykes, Weston, Griffin Road, where the traffic is just horrendous. If you go through that, believe it or
I
not.
have driven through that. I drive through whenever I'm going to anywhere northwest Broward or southwest
Yeah.
Miami.
Yep.
I always drive through here. I live in Cooper City.
Yep.
And this is the closest way for me to reach I-75. So
Yeah, sometimes it's 4 or 5 waits in Southwest Ranches for a light, which is just mind-boggling.
Right.
So we've been working with Weston on an agreement, and they have passed a resolution as well to support re-engineering that website. The town engineer and administrator have also been discussing it with Richard Tornice, so he's
Okay.
in the loop on it. The other project, and as well, I'm sorry, Davey's involved in that as well, because Davey's got the Rick Case corner of that intersection. So all 3 have passed, all of us have passed resolutions supporting the project. The second project we have is out west of Bonaventure Boulevard, where Griffin Road goes from 4 lanes to 2.
I checked into that. Is that a county road there?
I believe so.
It is?
It is, yes.
Okay.
So again, that road is long overdue for widening. There's a couple of schools out there. It's also become a major cut-through from Pines due to the changes in the school board rules on going to schools outside of your area. That's become a major cut-through. So again, it's become a relatively dangerous stretch of the road. We've had accidents there. We've had people go in the canals. So
What has the county told you about that, and who are you working with there?
I'll pass that on to Andy if I could. I haven't been working directly. We have a wonderful administration and town engineer.
Yeah, we've had conversations with Richard Tornese.
Okay,
And-
and
and
have they,
Bill as
has the
well.
county, has Mr. Tornese been cooperative?
He is supportive of both projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you run into any problems, you are aware, again, like your rules, I am not supposed to directly contact and instruct county employees, but I speak with the county administrator multiple times a week. And normally, although I can't tell a county employee to do something, I can certainly suggest it. I can arrange a meeting between, well, subject to your own sunshine laws, I can arrange a meeting between your administrator and I guess only one commissioner at a time, along with any of the county employees that you need. I'm happy to do that. Just let me know if you need any assistance.
Fantastic. I think we've gotten tremendous support downtown, so it's really now we're at the point where I'm the town's representative to the MPO.
Okay.
And you're familiar with the blue line of death. We're number 46 of 44, something along those lines. So that's
You're
prob-
talking about for the funding through the surtax?
Correct. Well, no, not surtax. This is
Just the
general
normal MPO funding? Okay.
These projects have been on the books with them forever, but we haven't gotten enough visibility and enough support.
So the problem is the five-year plan, and you always are in year six, and then they renumber that every year, and you always stay in year six?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it's closer to 40. But, our thinking is that since this is a project shared by multiple municipalities, instead of this being a Southwest Ranches surtax, this is where we're hoping that you can escalate or elevate this up as a county-level project, since it benefits multiple. So we'll ask you for your support on these two projects so that when the surtax process comes about for selecting, I guess it's 2 years out, 3 years out at this point,
Right.
We'll have your support.
I'm happy to speak with Gretchen Cassini, is the administrator for the surtax, and I'm happy to speak with her about this. Andy, if you will call me and get me the details on that, or if you want, I'll be happy to arrange a meeting between you and Gretchen.
Okay.
Good. Thank you again. Going through, I've mentioned to the council Broward Water Leaders Academy, and I know you're responsible for.
I've been the chair of the Broward County Water Advisory Board for the last 4 years.
And they're the ones who more or less fund and support the Water Leaders and Resilience Academy, which I've been through 3 times now, and it's amazing education on how our water system works here. And I'd encourage you to continue supporting that until the seas start going back down.
That's, I expect, going to be a long time.
Yeah.
You should be aware that because of sea level rise, and I'm not going to get into any debate as to what's causing sea level rise, we do know that the sea level is rising. I mean, that's objectively shown. And the problem that we're having with that, and you need to be aware of this, is Southwest Ranches is very vulnerable because we live in a subtropical atmosphere. We get a lot of rain. As you are aware, all of this area used to be the Everglades. It was drained through the use of the canals. Now, the problem is the canals are gravity fed, meaning the surface, the inland water is supposed to be higher than the ocean water, so the canals just gradually, very, very gradually, like an inch every mile, but enough, they gradually slope down into the ocean, and that is what provides drainage for Southwest Ranches. That doesn't work if the ocean water is higher than the inland water. The only way of fixing that is you have to build up the banks of the canals several feet higher than they are and add pumps to that so that you can get over the locks. Right now, everybody has seen the water barriers, which are designed to prevent salt water from entering fresh water. The problem is that in some of them, they are already overtopping the barriers, not in a king tide, not in a hurricane, but in a normal high tide. So the problem is that according to Dr. Gerardo, who you know, who is the Chief Resilience Officer for Broward County, within the next 10 years, we are expecting that you will simply, if it rains, we're not going to be able to drain any longer. And I've been pushing this for 3 or 4 years now. I've been running around yelling, the sky is falling. Sometimes when you yell it, you're Chicken Little, and sometimes when you're yelling it, the sky actually is falling. We have been told by the Army Corps of Engineers, we finally got some money in this year's federal budget, but it's only planning money. They have told us if everything goes well, that they can probably fix it, put in the higher structures, increase the size of the banks of the canals. They can probably do that in the next 15 years. And I love the Army Corps, but if they say that their best case scenario is 15 years, that means if we're lucky, it's 20 years. And again, Dr. Gerardo says in 10 years, we're going to be in serious flooding difficulties. My advice is purchase arcs. But other than that, I'm not going to be in office in 10 years. I mean, I'm approaching the end of my useful life. I've got another 6 years. I was elected to the legislature in 1988 when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. And I'm sure nobody remembers Governor Martinez,
Oh, yeah.
but I served 2 years under Governor Martinez, 8 years under Governor Childs, 8 years under Governor Bush, 2 years under Governor Christ. Then I was out of office, and I came back in 16. So, but I'm termed out in 2028. This problem is not going to be fully present by 2028. But if people wait till 2028 to be concerned about it, y'all are going to be underwater when it rains. You will not be able to drain to the ocean if the ocean is higher and we don't have the pump. There is a way of fixing it. You have to build up the banks and you have to use pumps. I mean, I'm not saying there's no way of fixing it. I'm just saying it's very expensive and it's going to take a long time. And I think that I've been very active in getting people, the legislature, the Congress to pay attention, but your town needs to be aware of this because you're fairly low level. You're going to be underwater, unfortunately, probably in 8 to 10 years. And then it depends how quickly the Army Corps moves. And they don't move that quickly. So
You're aware Representative Robin Bartlesman was after money this year as well for studying, and similar to what you're talking about. the
ask her
Army
where
Corps.
who talked to her about it and
Okay.
first told her what the problem
We'll be happy
was.
to give credit where credit is due, but I know she's been ambitious.
She's a wonderful
this year.
person. We've
Yeah.
been friends for 15 years.
Yep, good. Thank
Anything
you.
else? Yes, sir.
Senator, thank you for coming, and I'm going to change
Anytime.
the subject a little bit. You
Please.
mentioned that you have a committee that's looking to create good jobs.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you're talking to developers, builders, businesses, and the unions.
I haven't
What-
said developers.
Okay.
We are talking with the public school system, Boys and Girls Club, Junior Achievement, contractors, subcontractors, unions, associated builders and contractors, the state vocational schools, Broward College. We've got everybody that we could think of that is active in this. The biggest problem is parents. Parents are telling their kids, you've got to go to college. And a lot of kids are going to college, and my degree's in history. I have no problem with people going to college and getting a degree in English, history, something that teaches them to read, write, and understand. I do have problems with people going to private, expensive colleges, taking massive amounts of loans, and getting a degree in dance or art history, because unless you're going to be a professional dancer or art historian, these are things that don't typically lead to the kind of high-paid jobs where you're going to be the most educated and cultured waiter or waitress at the Cheesecake Factory. So I've been working primarily to try and work with parents to get their kids to understand that these are the path. You start earning money right away. You don't wait for 4 years and build up debt. And these are good, solid middle-class jobs and programs like at Broward College, where they will give you credit. If you have a journeyman's license, they'll give you credit for your first 2 years of college. And then over the next 2 years, you can spend 3 or 4, because it would be 2 full-time, learning how to run your own business. So these people, they'll take classes in advertising, marketing, accounting. So, they'll be 30, 35 and starting their own business.
What help have you got from the local unions in the Dade and Broward area?
Local unions have been attending the meetings. They're very, very interested in it because they feel correctly that if there are more people in the business trades, not business trades, I'm sorry, the building trades, not business trades, sorry. If there's more people in the building trades, many of them will become union members. Not all of them, but certainly many of them will become union members. So we've had tremendous support from them on one side. Associated Builders and Contractors, which represents the subcontractors, which honestly, the unions and ABC do not get along, but both of them have been very supportive of our programs because both of them recognize it's critical that we have more workers.
And you're pushing the apprenticeship programs. I know all the crafts that you mentioned have apprenticeship programs.
Yes, sir.
And they're looking for people also to come in. I know that there's several apprenticeship programs in Dade County that are undermanned. They need 80 people, and they probably have 40 in class, so.
I have been to Tallahassee, met with the Secretary of the Department of Economic Opportunity, which has been pushing apprenticeships to discuss what we've been doing. They're very happy with it. We have been, I passed an ordinance at the county saying that on all large projects, that each project would have to have 15% of the workers would have to be certified apprentices because, and I say certified, meaning they have to be member of a state-certified program. Now, again, unions run them, ABC runs them, Broward College runs them. I'm not trying to say who you have to work with, but it's eliminating the dad who says, oh yeah, I've taught my son, he's my apprentice, when he's not teaching him what an apprentice needs to know to get their journeyman's license.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Sir? Mr. Mayor, tell me when you need me to stop. I'll take as many questions as you
Right.
have.
Hi, Senator
Yeah.
David Kaczynski, District 4. I believe I first met you when you were in the House.
That long ago?
Serving in the House. I
You
was an
must be
intern.
old.
I was an intern in then Senator Howard Foreman's office.
Howard was a great friend, and still is, actually. And
And-
Howard and I were elected to the legislature on the same day, November of 1988. Howard was elected to the Senate, I was elected to the House.
And I ended up getting a position through Howard with George Sheldon.
I knew Senator
And
Sheldon
George
as
Sheldon said, David, you should think about law school.
well. Uh-huh.
So I came down Nova Law School, ended up buying Joan Glickman's home.
I know Joan.
How about that?
Knew Joan very well, too.
All right.
I will
Well-
tell you that November will be 40 years I've been practicing law, so.
All right. My inquiry doesn't exactly touch on your responsibilities as a county commissioner, but I wanted to enlighten you that last night at our Homeowners Association meeting, there was a short discussion about the canals. Now, when I moved out here in '97, I think twice a year, Central Broward would dig out the canals, the debris, in what has been going on, but I can't remember the last time it's been done.
I don't know who is responsible for the canals, whether it is the Drainage District or the South Florida Water Management District. It's one of the two of them. I don't want to be political. I will simply say that they have both been under immense pressure to reduce their taxes.
That's what I thought.
And, you are all elected officials. You understand the words fiscal responsibility.
Sure.
What that means is, and many of my constituents, I've been doing this since '88, which is 34 years. I frequently get the same thing. We need more services and lower taxes from the same people at the same, well, you're not going to get it.
Right.
The fact is that, unless you believe in the services fairy who waves her magic wand and provides the services without being paid for, we need to understand that taxes and services balance out.
Right.
If you want more services, pay for them. If you don't want to pay for them, accept that there's less services. It's that simple. And unfortunately, under our former governor, now, it has not happened under our current governor, Governor DeSantis, but our former governor, Governor Scott, insisted that they lower their millage.
Yep.
And there's less money. If there's less money they're collecting, it's less money available for services.
Thank you.
Cut South Florida water banishment about half.
I think it may be more than that, but yes, it was
Thank
at
you.
least half.
Senator Gal.
Yes.
Senator Gal.
Yes, Howard.
I just want to say thank you for all the help that you've given Southwest Ranches, and my colleagues have all spoke to you with what our priorities are, and I don't want to repeat them all.
Okay.
The surtax projects are really big on our radar because that would really help us out. I think that would be the biggest bang for the buck in the short term up here.
Well,
So
again, as I said, Andy, if you'll contact me, I will arrange a meeting between you and Ms. Cassini.
Senator,
Thank you.
I have one easy one.
Keith, how are you? Long time no see.
Always good seeing you. If you could just put on your list, we don't need an answer now. The town has purchased 27 license plate readers to enhance its police force in the event of an emergency, their access to be able to track where a potential vehicle is. 4 or 5 of them are need to go in swales that are county right-of-way. Every time we ask the county how we can get access to put the cameras in, the response is we're waiting on the county commission to approve a revocable license agreement in RLA. Do you know what the status of that?
I do, and this is actually the toughest question I've been asked tonight. Let me discuss the issue of the license readers, which actually their cameras are good enough that they would not necessarily be limited to license readers. There is a concern, this issue came up on Tuesday at the county commission meeting, and it was deferred because of a great deal of controversy, and I was one of the people that raised issues. I could argue either way on this. I'm a skilled attorney, I could argue either way on most issues, but on this one, I am really torn. I believe that the license plate readers, if you look at London, New York, and similar areas, you will find license plate readers are very helpful in terrorism and cracking down, looking for criminals, etc. Another place where they have them is China, where they are using cameras, surveillance cameras, to basically control everyone's life. The issue is, I am okay with this if we could limit it to government entities. My concern, and we've been told that this is an issue, is, for example, divorce lawyers will subpoena them looking for, trying to see, whether or not a suspected boyfriend or girlfriend has been heading towards the home of someone being divorced. That they're being subpoenaed by people that are running repo, the car repo companies are purchasing the film from the county and the cities, using that to track down cars that they're trying to repossess. That other entities, for example, there was an article saying that ICE has been using that to look into trying to track down illegal immigrants. There are questions about not just because remember, they're taking picture of the car, that you can see the occupants of the car in some cases. So the reason that this was postponed is I believe that there is clear support on the county commission level for this if it can be limited to governmental purposes and is not subject to FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. But if it is subject to subpoena by, for example, divorce lawyers or Freedom of Information Act, so there were also articles about people searching for particular individuals trying to follow the star or the politician or the other famous person, to trying to use the car readers, license plate readers, to figure out where they've been going. And we are concerned about the potential invasion of privacy, not if it's done by government, but if this information is obtainable under Freedom of Information Act. And we directed the county attorney just this past Tuesday, 2 days ago, to find out to what extent that information would be FOIA-able and report back to us.
Just two
So-
things so you know. I apologize, Mayor.
Yeah, can I just jump in there just for
No,
a
of
second?
course.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, just so you're aware, we actually had very similar concerns when we first started this project. And so one of the first things we did before we even approved the purchase of the cameras was to approve a policy on who and what would have access to it. And it is, first of all, it is limited to serious offenses, not,
We already voted
not
down
expired
doing
tags
this
or
for
similar
red
things like
lights.
that. Yeah, yeah. And so it's serious offenses. We're not here to harass anyone, and it is limited to the governmental entity of Davie. Now, I'm not, and I'll turn this over to Keith. Probably some research needs to be done here. Obviously, I can't speak to FOIA and how that would affect it and what case law might be available there. However, certainly our intention was it 100% aligned with what you're saying.
And what I would say is that the contract says that it would not be shared. However, if it is a government record, and it would be, then the theory is that it is obtainable despite any contract. It would be obtainable by a Freedom of Information Act. So that's why we have asked our county attorney to address the issue of, like I said, we don't care what the contract says. We want to make sure that it cannot be used by voyeurs, by people trying to track down the stars, the paparazzi that, used by divorce lawyers. If it is limited to government use, I am confident that it will pass. If it is not limited to government use, because it's obtainable through the Freedom of Information Act or through subpoenas by, as I said, a divorce lawyer or something of that nature, I don't know what the commission will do. I don't even know how I would vote.
And Senator, just two things to add to what the mayor said. Ours are only the license plate. You can't see the occupant. So there are numerous types of these cameras, and ours are accessed only if they're searching for a vehicle, for a particular crime, felony, actually.
Who is
that
keeping the
occurred.
film?
And you can explain.
If it's being kept by a government agency, it is subject to FOIA.
You want to explain how it works?
Excuse me. So the information is captured by the cameras and retained for a very short period of time. And when, in our policy also, we do state that it's not to be used for your routine Chapter 119 requests. It does state that the retention of the documents or the data will be retained in accordance with Florida Statute 316, which I presume, I'm not that familiar with that statute, but has a presumption in there for how long we can keep that as it relates to the videotape. So I believe it's a 30-day retention.
As I said, during that 30 days, people know that there's a 30 days. If it's owned by the government, I think it is obtainable, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with that particular statute. And when in doubt, ask your lawyer. As someone who's been practicing law for 39 plus years, I'm a firm believer, when in doubt, ask your lawyer. And that's what the county has done. And that's, Keith, that's what we're waiting on.
No, thank
report
you.
back.
And we may reach out to him and file an amicus opinion to try to help.
Respectfully, we're going to listen to our lawyer, not you, but that's okay. By the way, would anybody like, I was happy to contribute to the Scouts. Anybody, can I?
give it to the town administrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure, Andy will want to go.
Perfect,
Yeah,
yes.
Mayor.
Thank you so much.
Mayor, if I,
Yeah, yeah.
if I may, thank you, Senator, for being here. I just want to give you a heads up on something that's going to be working its way to you in your role on the county commission. And in order to put it in context, I need to pat us on the back and let you know that we're the first municipality who has completed 3 surtax-funded projects. Thank you. Two of the 3 were roadway repaving, R&M, rehabilitation and maintenance projects. The current iteration of the interlocal agreement prohibits funding for R&M projects. We're not the only municipality who has this issue. The Broward County City Managers Association is working on this. They will be drafting some recommendations for a third amendment, to the interlocal agreement that will be working its way up to the county commission. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's coming, and we'll hope to have your support at that time.
Happy to look at it. Obviously want to hear what my staff says about it, but sounds reasonable. I know one of the big things y'all like money here for is guardrails, because you have so many canals, and I've spoken with many of you about this issue.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
any rate,
Great.
anything I can do, call me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
All right. Ellie, you want to come on up? Have a special presentation or arm twisting or whatever. Please face the audience, yeah. But use the mic, yes.
Microphone, come on.
No, because we have YouTube, so we need the mic.
Ryan?
You
get
can
to
take
go
it out of
first.
there.
Hello. I'm Ryan Martin. I'm the senior patrol leader of Troop 160, and we're doing a fundraiser to support us so we're able to go to summer camp. It's in Maine this year. We're trying to fundraise so we're able to afford the cost of camp. That's all I got.
So, here, you hold this up. Okay, I'm Ellie. I am the Scoutmaster for Troop 160. We are going to have a spaghetti fundraiser dinner on May 14th. We're here to pre-sell tickets, whether you show up or not. Proceeds will be going towards the Scouts earning their way to go to summer camp. They originally were going to North Carolina. We happen to have 2 Scouts that ended up going qualifying for national competitions, and thus they cannot go. So we changed locations, and now we've added airfare to Boston. So this is why we have, like in the last 2 weeks, figured out how to do a spaghetti dinner. So we greatly appreciate it. They're $10 a piece, 2 for $20. I'll be in the back selling tickets. I've talked to half of you already. I will take 4 for 40, is that what it is? 5 for 50. I mean, this is the way to go. We're going to go up. We're going to spend some time the first day in Boston learning about the American history area. We might even get out to Concord where the first shot of the Revolutionary War was. There's also a park there. Give the boys an idea to see what it looked like back in that day and era. We'll spend a week at camp. Then we will be driving back, and then we will be touring a little bit around the New England area to kind of get, while we're up there, we're going to get as much benefit as we can. Of course, we will find some lobster dinners or lobster rolls. So dig out that $20. If not, you don't have it with you, I'm going to, against the advice of everyone of my troop, I'm going to give you guys my telephone number. You guys can Zelle me. Guys, get your paper and pencil ready. Messages out. 954-298-5489. I saw a few phones come out. Let me repeat that again. 954-298-5489. If you would be so kind as to say your name and that is for the spaghetti dinner. We'll have your names at the table in case you do decide to show up and are not just doing this as a fundraiser. Again, it's May 14th, and it's over at the Church of Christ, Griffin Road Church, and that is just before Volunteer Road on the south side. It's behind a berm. We will have some flyers up or some kind of flag or something up there so you guys will see it, because the church is behind one of those big berms, and it's next to a nursery. If there's any questions, come see me in the back. And I think I've hit everyone but you two.
Whom do I make the check payable to?
Troop 160.
Troop, I'm sorry.
160.
You could
And
use
I
that
will-
as a suggested donation as well, 160.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Thank you, Bob.
And I have your phone number.
You got it.
You will have it. Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, brings his checkbook with him.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right,
Tax reduction, guys.
All right.
there you go.
Thank you all very much.
All right. We will do
It's
that.
one of the great things about our community is how involved the Boy Scouts are in our community. They've done amazing things, a lot of great Eagle Scout projects in town, so always welcome and always supportive. Great to have you all here. All right, the next item on our agenda is a proclamation for Professional Municipal Clerks Week. We are very fortunate. We've got an incredible staff, and part of that staff is Russell and Assistant Deborah, and you all do an amazing job. You really do. And so it's certainly with pleasure that we recognize that this week is Professional Municipal Clerk Week, and I would like to read into the record a proclamation to that effect. All right. Whereas the professional clerk, a time-honored and vital part of the local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agency of governments at other levels, and whereas the professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas the professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through the participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of Professional Municipal Clerks. And therefore, be it proclaimed by the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches that we do recognize the week of May 1 through May 7th, 2022 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our town clerk, Russell Muniz, and to all professional municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Great, thank you very much. Awesome.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, great job. It's really, it's one of those positions that's a little bit behind the scenes, but it is the center of the gear that keeps everything moving. So it's critical, and we certainly very much appreciate it. Thank you. All right. With that, let's open up public comment. We have some speakers for public comment.
We have no registered speakers.
All right. It's unusual. All right. Do we have any board reports? Oh, we do. Okay, awesome. That's okay.
Good evening,
Hey, Rose.
Mayor. How are you?
Good.
Well, I guess when I come, it's my same issue. After living in the town for 27 years, I can't seem to resolve anything. My drainage, I had to jump hoops over water to get out of, just to take my garbage in again. Sorry, my name is Rose Williams. I live at 6011 Hollerty Trail. Everyone should know. And they did the road. Thank you very much. It's nice to run on now. However, it seems that it's gotten worse because the grass that they put down, it's really inferior to what we had there. So the water doesn't even hold in the grass anymore. So the my gate now is up to 3-4 inches of water when it rains. Today, it didn't even rain that much, and there was a huge puddle there. And Councilman David knows the situation because he lives down the street. Time and time again, I believe last year before they did the roads, they said they were going to make a swale somehow for the water to go off. The road now is higher than my driveway, and the water just comes right back basically into my yard now. So I don't know what we're going to do. I've tried. He's been out to my house several times, and I thought once we did this road that the problem for the drainage would have been at least been minimized to what it was before. So I don't know anybody's been out to Holiday Trail since the new road's been there after a nice rainy day, but it's horrendous. It's really bad.
All right,
Yeah, so that's,
all right.
I mean, I come up all the time, but nothing is done, but I'll keep coming.
Yeah, Rose, well, I don't think do we have any other speakers? No, we have no. All right, I'll just respond quickly then. I appreciate what you're saying. When we do the roads, the idea primarily is to get the water off the roads to the sides. So, the issue is sometimes it does then congregate into the driveway as well, if that's not the higher than the swales beside it, So I assume, Rod, have you been out there to look at that? Have you? Yeah.
I don't
So-
think Rod has been out there since the new road. The last email I sent to him, he was in jury duty, so I never heard from him after the jury duty. I don't think he's been out there since the new road.
Okay, well, maybe we can take another trip out there just to see if there's anything there.
We
Yeah,
can
let's see,
talk
let's-
about it, but what are we going to do about it?
Well, let's see if anything can be done, and I'm not sure anything can be done, but if it can be done, Rod is the guy to be able to find that and to make it happen. So,
It's really hard for you to come here all the time. I just thought once this road was done, you'd have planned that the swale, they said a swale was going to be done. There's no swale.
yeah, well, let's check, I mean, and that may be an issue. Maybe that's the issue, and maybe, hopefully something can be done.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. All right, yeah, go ahead. You need to, as soon as you get done, if you can complete a form so we know who's there, and if you can give your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm
please.
Michael Sakachevsky. I just bought 10 tickets, and I just realized I won't be able to use them. So if anybody, I'm going to leave them with you. If you know anybody in the town who needs a meal,
Okay,
just give them up.
awesome. Thank you, appreciate it. Great, thank you.
Debbie.
Debbie Green, 5201 Southwest 199. I just kind of for anybody who's out west and maybe off of 199th Avenue, if they're not aware of the FPL project that's going on, so for anyone's listening, just so they have the information. So they are working to reinforce all the power and replacing all the power poles. There's going to be a point in time where the houses that are south of 50th Avenue are going to be locked in. So the town has agreed to open up the gates on those days, and there will be an officer at the gate allowing whoever needs to go, to get through. I was told by one of the FPL people yesterday that they were going to start, when they were actually going to be blocking off the street at 50th, should start on Monday.
Mhm.
So just so everyone knows, so
Yeah,
at least
good.
we know, hopefully at least come from the south. And then
Right.
those houses that are north of 50th, they'll be able to get in and out by going around to 202, between 201
Right.
and 202.
Right, coming in.
And I would just ask that the workers that are out there now, when the trucks are across the road, so like yesterday I was coming home and waiting patiently for them to finish their conversation, pull their pants up and whatever else, and then he just wanted me to go along the swale to go around the truck instead of moving it. So the way our swales are now, it happens to be one of those points where it's more like a ditch than a swale. So and I drive a car, not a truck. So when my car went to go around it, I was like at an angle, and so my sensor in the front rubbed against the thing. I think it's fine, but it's just that they be more conscious of. I know it's only the residents on one street that they're interfering with, but at the same time, our swales aren't where it's so easy just to go around anymore.
Gotcha. Good. Thank you. Thank you for that information. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment closed. Are there any board reports? All right. Welcome back, Debbie.
Okay. For the Education Advisory Board, just a reminder that the scholarships, the deadline to submit the scholarships for the kids is May 27th. And just following up on Senator Geller's comments, the town's college scholarship is awarded to anyone that is attending any four-year university, two-year university, or vocational school. So just so everyone out there is aware of that. So if you meet the requirements to apply for the scholarship, which is 40 hours of service to the town, just make sure that you get those hours in and to submit your application by May 27th.
Thank you. All right. Any other board reports? Seeing none. All right. Okay. Council member comments.
I'll go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Start it off. I'll be brief. We got a few things to mention. First off, thank everybody for coming, and thank all the YouTubers for watching. We have hazmat at the barn in May 14th from 8 to 2. Shredding and prescription drug drop-off is going to be there. The 25th of May is the DMV Flowmobile here at Town Hall from 10 to 2, and you must make an appointment. Call Deborah and say hi, Deborah. Wave your hand. Call her, and she'll set it up for you. The Broward County Property Appraiser is going to be here at Town Hall on the 19th from 10 to 12. If you have any property appraiser issues that you need to go over, that would be the time to do it. We have a really nice wall at the Founders Park. I have some pictures. If you could just scroll through them that I took. This isn't Bob quality. This is Gary quality. Okay? I kind of took them and had a little bit of fun with them, pumped up the colors, but this is what they all look like. You guys should really go out and take a look at it. It's right up the street here, and it looks really wonderful. And we're considering, the Rural Arts is considering a few more panels there. I know that's on their discussion. So, and they make great screensavers, by the way, on my computer at home. We have Water Matters Day is back on the 21st. December asked me to announce that. Saturday, the 21st at Treetops Park, 9 a.m. to 2:30. You got to register to get for the tree giveaway, but you're basically just giving your address, and you get, I guess, was it 2 trees, Bob? I know you go to the
Yeah.
yeah, 2 trees per household, and it's really an interesting event. It tells you everything you want to know about water in South Florida, which really we deal with every day, and we just don't even realize it, how much we deal with it. Last thing I want to mention on the notifications is we're having a FPL meeting for Rolling Oaks and anybody else in the town who wants to attend this. FP&L is now moving into the hardening and resilient phase where they're going to be putting the power lines underground. And this is going to be a Q&A session at the barn in Rolling Oaks on Monday the 2nd at 7 p.m. We're providing the venue, and the FPL is providing the information, and we have a lot of questions that we're going to be asking going forward with that. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that that's out there. Hopefully we'll have a real good attendance on it, because it's one of these things where you kind of need a 100% participation, and it's going to be made available, as I understand it, throughout the entire town. Rolling Oaks is just first shot, and I believe there's some going on in Sunshine Ranches at the same time. So if we have any questions on that. So and I know there's 2 other meetings. There's the Parks Board meeting at the same time, and then there's Country Estates at the same time. So I guess it's a popular time.
Choose.
Yeah, it's a popular time. I will be at the FPL meeting And Debbie, where's Debbie? Debbie Green? Yeah, there you go. I'll send you the Public Works by email, okay? And lastly, this is Marty's last meeting, so I just want to say thank you, Marty, for everything you've done. It's much appreciated, and welcome, Emil. This is your first official meeting, so Emil Lopez is our new financial administrator, and we expect great things from Emil, and so I'm sure he's going to live up to it. So,
Absolutely.
and that's all I have, Mayor. I'm out of gas.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Gary. Who'd like to go next?
I'll jump in real quick. I'll make it brief, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd like to start off by saying thank you to December. I had the pleasure of attending I guess, class that she gave probably a dozen children out at Calusa Park. She had the area prepped and ready to go, and she taught them how to mix seeds with dirt and stomp them into the ground and how to plant plants. And they walked over to the preserve area, and she taught them about the wildlife there. And it was a hands-on for the children that was there, and it was also hands-on. I saw some of the parents digging, and I hope those plants survive. I thought it was really a great way for you, especially you, mingling with the kids. It really was a well-planned time. Thank you. The Green Meadows drainage project is taking its time. Joseph, it will be done. I'm not sure when. I went by there today, and they're working on 164th. They're over on 163rd. They're starting to do some people's driveways that they had messed up, and I was assured that those driveways would be put back to the way that they were before they came in and messed those up. But there is another phase that will take place, and it will go north from the area that they currently did. It will take off and go north, and eventually it will tie everything together. One other phase is going to go through the sanctuary there on Griffin and Dykes, and that will tie in to 163rd, but it'll also tie into the water retention area on the other side of Dykes. So hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, Green Meadows, I hope, will be high and dry, even though the tide's rising, so I hope. I'd like to invite everybody to the Public Safety and Traffic Committee meeting. It's the first Tuesday of each month. It's here at Town Hall at 7 o'clock. I think the committee has really taken this to heart. They're working hard on coming up with ideas on how to slow the traffic down. They're looking at ways to prevent crime, putting up signs, doing different things. So I'd invite each and every one of you to come out and participate in that. Like I said, it's the first Tuesday of each month at 7 o'clock. And lastly, Green Meadows Homeowners Association, Civic Association has had 2 meetings. They're Zoom meetings, and I am accumulating emails from the area, Deems Ranches, Green Meadows, and I have part of Ivanhoe Estates. I'd like for them to all be part of the new Civic Association, and it really doesn't matter whose district they actually live in, because part of Deems Ranches does belong to Gary, but I'll welcome into my association. But that's the last Monday of each month at 7 o'clock. Get in touch with me, and I'll give you that Zoom meeting, and be absolutely thrilled to have you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, David.
All right. Thank everybody for coming out. Everybody out in YouTube land, how you doing? David Kaczynski, District 4. Don't have much to add. Gary took some of my thunder away with the FPL process. If you drive along both Luray Road and Mustang Trail, you'll see several of these green boxes that are being put out there. Those are the new transformers for the underground utility lines that FPL is installing. Now, I was looking at a brochure the other night. I guess I was at the ROCA meeting, and there's a provision in here that really concerned me, and it is under the title of Understanding Undergrounding. This is from FPL. Let me move my cursor down. In the middle of this paragraph, And going back to November of 2020, when we had the big flood in the town. During that big flood, sure, everybody's homes, and I had water all the way around my home. I actually had several koi move into my pond, which is interesting.
That's where mine went.
But I can say one thing is I never lost power. Now, with the underground service, this just raises a question to me. Is there a possibility of this flooding? And I will ask this that on the night of the 2nd of May. If we have another flood event like this, will we be susceptible to additional flooding and power outages because of that flooding? And I read this brochure, and I'm going to quote from it. It says, while underground power lines perform better in storm involving wind, they are still susceptible to outages primarily due to flooding. Water and electricity do not mix. So our crews need to wait until water recedes and it is safe to restore power. In some cases, repairs to underground power lines may take longer than overhead power lines because of the length of time to diagnose and repair the problem. It's important to note that most electric service originates from overhead power lines, which can affect customers who receive power from underground power lines. So I kind of reading into this, and I'm just concerned that by going underground, our residents going to be susceptible to additional power outages because of flooding where they would not be just because of heavy rain? So that's just something that I'm going to ask on the night of the 2nd. Let's see. Marty, going to miss you. You've been a good friend. I really enjoyed our conversations. And Emil, I'll be knocking on your door. Let's see. Hope everybody does come out to that meeting on the 2nd. And then another issue that some residents have spoken to me about deals with illegal businesses that are operating in the town. And I'd just like to ask if, Keith, if the legal department, when there's a code violation for somebody that has an illegal business and there is an existing agreement where there is a set in stone prior agreement of a minimal fine, we'll say that we can somehow make the penalty more than just a cost of business. That's just something that I've had some residents discuss with me, and I said I would ask about that at this meeting. I believe that kind of does it for me. The Water Matters Day, just to remind, as an additional fact on this, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on the Broward County Water Conservation website is when the registration for the free tree giveaway begins. So it's tomorrow at 8 a.m., Water Matters Day, Broward.org. I will definitely be on there because plenty of the trees in on my property were obtained from the free tree giveaway. That wraps it up for me, Mr. Mayor.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Yeah, Bob?
Good evening, folks. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm going to ask you for a moment of silence, but I first want to explain why. About 21 years ago, some new neighbors moved in across the street from my family, and they moved in with 3 kids. They went on to have 2 more. They have a big family. Their names are Jackie and Conrad Hibbert. I got a phone call from Jackie last week. Now, we know their kids. You know what it's like when you see the neighbor kids grow up. You know them. These guys are runners. They're always running in the street up and down the road. I mean, you get to know the kids in your neighborhood. Jackie called me last Friday to tell me that they lost Isaac to meningitis. He was a student at University of Florida. He's the type of son that calls his mom every couple days just to check in and he said he thought he got food poisoning from, I won't mention the name, but it wasn't food poisoning. It turns out 2 days later, mom's calling saying, what's going on? He wasn't picking up the phone. She called the roommates. We haven't heard from him in a couple days. So she got in the car and drove to Gainesville immediately. When she got there, she heard the last words from her son. Mom, why are you here? She had him rushed off to the hospital. He spent the next week on a respirator, and they took him off last Friday. Yeah. If you have kids in college right now, I had no idea that this is kind of rampant right now on some of the state campuses. University of Florida and FSU both have a problem with it right now, and of course they're not publicizing it. But if you have kids in college, make sure they've gotten their vaccine. I had no idea until I talked to my daughter, who my wife told me got one. But meningitis is preventable now, and this family lost their son because he wasn't prepared and they weren't prepared. So if you wouldn't mind just giving a moment of silence for Isaac Hibbert, I would appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Moving on to other topics. We had a rather spirited discussion with pictures and all at the last comp plan board meeting about the boxes, the ubiquitous boxes all over town. We've got a number of different types of utility boxes in the neighborhoods, and some of them bring in your telephone for those who have it, but also data. There's boxes for Comcast, there's boxes for FP&L. I know the council I believe everybody was there the other night to hear about the concerns, and the answer was to put wraps on them. So I spent Sunday looking into the pictures that were provided and also driving around. I took a ride down your street because you've got a cluster of them on the end of your street. There's a configuration right on Griffin at about 202, and there's some obviously on the east side. These are the boxes that take the data connections from the central office in Davie or wherever your central office is and bring them out to your neighborhood. And then from those boxes, your AT&T UVerse and all the rest are distributed to your homes. As well, Comcast has got its own boxes out there. We have 5 different types, believe it or not. We have traffic control boxes. We have electrical boxes, and when I say electrical, they're basically the power supplies for those types of utility boxes. We have transformer boxes in the areas where people in town already have their utilities buried, and then we also have phone boxes. Steve, in your neighborhood, I'm sure you're aware, there's a little green cylindrical box in front of your house. That's your phone. Yep. Steve's whole neighborhood is got buried phone service, which is great for the data lines because I'm assuming you don't lose them during storms.
Right.
Whereas we lost them last time for the data line for 3 weeks after, I think it was Irma. The reason I'm bringing this up is in looking at the different configurations and having spent time in my career working with these types of boxes, particularly on the data side, everybody likes to talk about the boxes that have the wraps on them because they're generally sitting at a traffic light. I know I've seen pictures distributed on some of the some emails over the last week. The only boxes they really wrap are the traffic control boxes, the ones that control the traffic lights. They're nice rectangular boxes that are easy to wrap, whereas the data boxes and the Comcast boxes are all panels that are removable and accessible. Now, there may be solutions that the Arts Board might be able to come up with for those types of boxes. But there was 2 scenarios that I'm not sure if we really want to wrap. First is those little ones in front of your house. You start putting a wrap with butterflies or horses or what have you on these things that are about that big, they're going to stand out. Yeah. I mean, if we want to recommend anything to the residents to do with those, and also the 2-foot by 2-foot power boxes for those who already have the buried utilities, paint them green. So I wouldn't recommend we wrap those because they blend in. They're part of the noise in the background right now. You really don't see those. If we start putting nice things all over them, they will stand out. Regarding the other types of boxes, it might be something that we ask the utility services for recommendations on. But, worst case scenario, When I used to go out west to 27, when I drove to Miami every day for my job, I used to see the boxes, there's like 5 or 6 of them right there on Griffin. You don't see them anymore. The neighbors that live there planted screening bushes around them. The bushes hide it. You really have to come in from the north side and look for them to even see them. So, you know, there's a number of solutions out there, but I want to make sure we just don't go a little overboard here and make things that aren't a problem become a problem.
Right, right.
So,
Good point.
all right, last things, Marty, you have done some interesting and wonderful things here as our finance director. You know, I've brought up almost every year during budgets, you know, the time our auditors fired us. We've had a perfect record since you've been here, and we have frameable annual reports now. So congratulations on doing a wonderful job here, and thank you very much. Emil, you've got big shoes to fill, and I know you're already on your way. And I also see you're streamlining, because the last time I had to sign bank forms for Marty, I had to sign 19 forms, and you only came with 2. So, there'll be more. Not if he's here and you're not. So welcome aboard, and, you know, like I said, you've got big shoes to fill. You know, I spent some time with you before we hired, and I was very impressed with your credentials and your background, so I'm sure you'll be off to a great start here, and you'll make this place your own financially soon. All right, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Bob. All right, well, as is normally the case, most all the topics have been covered, which is awesome. Just a couple other things I want to mention pretty quickly. This weekend, this Saturday, is the final farmers market for the spring season. It will be coming back in the fall, but it was a huge success. I really want to thank everybody that came out. I think we've got a great vendor that we're working with that's lining things together. December, super kudos to you. Just an awesome job in getting this all put together. Really appreciate that. But I've really just heard just great things from our residents, the opportunity to get together kind of in the town square and see everybody and talk to everybody. I've seen residents I haven't seen for a while being out there, and so it's been awesome. And so we're looking at tweaking it a little bit. If you have some suggestions, I know we've gotten some suggestions for hours, adjusting that a little bit, or possible days. But so if you have some thoughts or suggestions, I would really love to hear those. That's one of the things we're going to be doing over the summer, is kind of taking a look at what worked, what could be improved, and we'll come back even better in the fall. So it's been a great event, and looking forward to having it start up again in the fall. But please, if you haven't been out there yet, we have one more opportunity this Saturday from 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and we'd love to see you out there. So thank you. All right, and then lastly, Marty. I can't let this moment pass without adding my comments, my harassment, whatever I can come up with to add to what's been said. A couple of thoughts come to mind. You know, many of us, not just myself, many of us go back to the day when we used to sit down and try and understand the budget long before you got here. Noel's already laughing. It was a series of images of a spreadsheet where none of the numbers from one spreadsheet or one image, you couldn't find it on the next one. I remember sitting at the kitchen table literally for days, trying to make it all work out, and it didn't work out. So I could still be sitting there looking at it. So anyway, when you arrived, I don't think it's an overstatement to say it was a mess. It was a mess. And it's more than just, I just want to be clear to the residents that it's more than just, well, that's a mess and we need to get that cleaned up. There were funds that were being spent. There was at one time a quote-unquote dream team that was being paid, and there was no accountability, and literally millions of dollars were flowing out of this town with no accountability, and it could easily have endangered our existence as a town if it had not been resolved. And so when you don't have a professional doing the job, when you don't have somebody that has the experience and the talent to make it all fit, to bring all the pieces together, to work with all the different departments. Certainly Marty does not do this by himself. He's got a great staff, and then he gets all the assistance from all the other teams that are here in the administrative town hall. All comes together. But it takes somebody, Marty, to pull it all together, to know what's right and the right way to do it, and that's what you did. You have done just a tremendous service to our town. We'll never be able to thank you enough, but we always love to give you a hard time, but at the end of the day, you've done an amazing job. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you've done. Really appreciate it. Emil, it's all yours. Welcome, Emil. We are thrilled to have you here, and look forward to working beside you. And I know it'll be good times ahead. So thank you. All right. So with that, legal comments.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Marty, I absolutely echo the sentiments of our mayor that could not even come close to being as articulate, as wonderful as you've been for the town. You will be missed. Your emails won't be missed, but you'll be missed. I personally look forward to speaking further with you about how much you'll be missed tomorrow. But I ditto every one of the sentiments that the mayor conveyed. Emil, I know you're going to do great. I check up on everyone, and your former council in Hallandale had nothing but the utmost great things to say about you. So welcome, and I'm sure you're going to do wonderful, but you have incredibly big shoes to fill, big pants as well. So, Mayor, in other things that are occurring in the town, for Councilmember Kaczynski, as far as fines for code violations, 162.09 of the Florida statutes delineates how much fines we can charge. It's capped. For a first offense, it's $250. For a second offense, it's $500. It's a statutory regulation, so it goes to the magistrate. Most of the time, the town's not so nice, and we do seek the max, especially for repeat violations. The mayor helped me out significantly this week with collection of a long-term fine, so thank you. As a result of it, the town's getting over $340,000 by the end of this current fiscal year for a collection that we've been dealing with legally for well over 2 years. So thank you for that. We've had a lot of issues in the town this past 2 weeks with ATT. In case anyone hears about it, they've been operating illegally in the town swells, and otherwise. Andy, I don't know if you were going to touch on it or not, but we have reached out to our telecom attorney, and he agrees 100% that what they're doing violates federal law. They're working in our town right-of-way without permits. They're working without approval. They're working without insurance, and despite us telling them that, they are continuing to do so.
What are they doing, Keith?
Andy, you want to address it?
There's been a spotlight on this lately with the conversation over the boxes and some other things. And so I think we've been led to believe that AT&T was doing some work because we had some conversations with them recently where they wanted to come in and do work in town. They were presented with our telecommunications ordinance, which has certain bonding requirements that they need to post, and they have neglected to comply with that. There were some boxes that came up in conversation that I think some residents thought might have been new. And I'm not sure that's the case, but there is a lot of work being done in Sunshine Ranches. Mastech's out there today. That's actually FP&L. It's not AT&T on that project. 'Cause, I mean, I went out there and spoke to them today. So that is an FP&L issue. So we're looking, staff is alerted, and we're kind of on the lookout for AT&T working in town. They have not been this week, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that.
No, you're off.
Exactly what is AT&T doing exactly?
They're doing some of the undergrounding, which
They're doing underground?
some of the undergrounding, which they're getting ready to do in Rolling Oaks. They've been doing it in Sunshine Ranches, and they had done some mailings and some of those other things, some of the information that they shared in Rolling Oaks. I think the difference is, in Rolling Oaks, we became aware of them doing something that I was never made aware of them doing within Sunshine Ranches. In Rolling Oaks, they're actually going door to door, asking people for easements to put those on-the-ground transformers. And so the people in Rolling Oaks community got very alarmed, said, why are they coming door to door? Why are they asking? So we asked them, we reached out to FP&L, asked them to stop going door to door until such time as we could arrange a community meeting so that they could come in and explain to the public what they're asking for and why.
The question I was asking about AT&T is they are working on lines as of this morning, I think, up and down 178. They're pulling new lines or something. It's a contractor.
There is some work that they're able to do within their utility easements that don't require permitting. We have no say in.
Okay.
So it could be some preliminary work that they're starting out there that we have no control over, quite honestly. Same thing in some of the Sunshine Ranches work. They don't come to us for permits. They rarely let us know when they're doing much, unless there's some management of traffic issues or some things like West Griffin Road that they may perhaps miscommunicate to us. But generally, if they're working within their easements, they just come in, do what they want to do, and generally without the courtesy of a notification, quite honestly.
So it's something we're looking at. I just wanted to alert the council of the situation. If anyone sees a process server looking for the mayor, it's because Pines has sued the town again. They submitted a records request for a very comprehensive records request. They told Russell he had 5 days to get it to them, and on the 5th day they sued. So, I don't believe the lawsuit is legal for multiple reasons, and we can talk about that in the future. But they filed it a couple of days ago in circuit court.
The basis of the suit is what?
Failure to quickly respond to the public records request within the 5-day period that they asked Russell to respond.
It's a slap suit.
Keith, do you know what that records request is in relation to?
They're searching all of our documents to try to get some sort of case. I don't want to get into it fully, but they wanted to look at legal entries, time entries, dating back till 2012.
Wow.
So they want to read like everything, the history of the town since 2012 through time entries. And it's a lot of material.
Sure.
It wasn't, something that Russell could generate quickly. Yeah, a lot of departments had to get into that. So I'm sure we'll speak about it at a shade session at some point, but I just wanted to give you guys an update of what transpired. And also, when they originally asked for it, as always, we told them half of what you're seeking is not even legal to be sought because it remains privileged. But that's, we'll talk about it at a later date. Councilmember Kozinski asked a resident to call me earlier this week, and I just wanted to touch upon one of the discussions that I've had. That I had 2 residents reach out about actually similar issues. Residents, especially in Sunshine Ranches, are starting to get more and more anxious to connect to municipal water. Okay, and the individual that I spoke to basically asked a question that I've brought up for years personally, because it worked with SESA, and it's just basically a policy that I think it comes the time that maybe we get it in ordinance before the town to approve, and I just want to know everyone's thought on it. And that is, some residents have taken on the initiative to pay to construct the water main down an entire road, okay? And they are fronting the money for all their neighbors to eventually connect to it, in the case that of the call of the resident I got. And they are all asking the same question in the two separate incidents this week is, if a neighbor adjacent to that, not tertiary resident, wants to connect, how do I start getting some return on my direct costs? You know, can they be prorated, even if it takes 20 years, can it be prorated so at least I get some of my costs back? I've always taken the policy that the town actually has done that because it started with Sessa when he brought the water main down Hancock years and years ago, and everyone who connected on Hancock wrote a check, and Sunrise ended up giving it back to the Sessa family, you know, when they did that. So if the council agrees with this, what this resident is asking is we bring forward some sort of ordinance basically saying that their costs are disclosed to the town verifies the costs, and if anyone wants to connect to that line in the future, at least they can get some return on, you know, providing water for the entire street. So you don't have to answer today, but that's essentially what Councilmember Kozinski, what the conversation was about. And two today I've had were in Sunshine Ranches that both had very similar questions. So I just want to bring that up. And final thing I wanted to discuss, the former CCA property. We are working diligently to finalize agreements to bring back before the council. The way it's going to look now is going to be a purchase and sale agreement in what we're calling a perpetual a profit-sharing agreement or a profit-sharing agreement into perpetuity. And so we have two separate agreements. The purchase and sale agreement is completed and sent to their attorneys for review. It's very simple. They came down to offering the town $18 million for the property. I said to him, you said 18.6, right? And he said, yes. So I put 18.6 in the contract. I let him read the contract. He said, yeah, that's what we agreed to. So right now we have tendered to them a contract for $18.6 million for that property to review. The profit sharing agreement is also very simple, but it has a little bit more nuances that we're working on now because it protects against bankruptcy and things of that nature. And what that basically says is the town receives 6% of the net revenue generated by the facility. Net revenue only exempts out ad valorem tax because they didn't want to pay twice to the town, fire assessments and the like. So it's taxes, assessments, and I think that's all they have, and insurance. Those were the only three items that they wanted to exempt out from net. Everything else is share on the profit, okay? Right now, the facility, and they're working on incredible designs. In fact, they're giving it a Western theme for the first industrial park with a Western theme. And it's about 275,000 square feet. They lowered the square footage slightly because they could potentially go up to about 375. They lowered it slightly to give outdoor storage as well, because what they're finding is that if they can offer outdoor storage as well as indoor storage to someone, that has an enormous benefit because most of the industrial parks only offer one or the other. So they think that they could generate huge dollars, and they said that the entire profit goes up, which is better for us, in the event that they're able to do it. So we're still looking at a significant asset on the tax rolls. We're looking at significant ongoing recurring revenue, and it's really coming to fruition. They did their full soil borings. It showed much muck than I thought. I think it was like 5 feet of muck on that property. When you walk out there, you think it's like 100, but it only had 5 feet of muck on the property. They are able to do on-site septic and well. They already have preliminary approval from the Department of Health. They said they have to bring in considerable amounts of loads of fill to do their demucking in the sewage. I forgot what you call it for the drain field. Thank you for the drain field. But they said that they are very optimistic that that's not going to be a problem and that they'll be able to do that. So I wanted to give everyone an update because really the goal is to get it to you maybe the second meeting in May with both agreements, and they'd like to close by the second meeting in July. You know, so so that they can get started with the building. So they're looking to move really quickly. Councilmember?
Little question, water?
They're well.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently they have to do a well with some, and I only know this because I spoke to their engineer today. It has some pumping system because they have to have fire suppression inside the warehouses, but apparently with the well water, you can get the pressure enough that you can still have that there. So that's what they're doing right now. So, council member?
Keith, real quick question. More and more people want to hook up to city water. How would that affect us in the future with this thing that Broward County wants, that if your neighbor is within 500 foot, you have to hook up? I know that was an issue that came up here several months back.
We lobbied the county commission and won. So RR and RE is exempt from that requirement. So our residents are exempt from that requirement.
But if more and more people are hooking up, and they see that more and more people are hooking up, could they change that?
I mean, anything can change, but it's highly doubtful.
All right.
Yeah. So they're finishing their environmental testing on the site now. They're working on getting a wetlands expert to lower the prospective wetlands, which is a problem townwide right now. But other than that, we're in really good shape.
Awesome.
You know,
Yeah, that's great news, Keith. Great news.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mayor. That's
That's a huge opportunity for us, for the town in the future, so wonderful. Andy?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And Keith, thank you for the update. Obviously, I'm working on it with you, but, it's nice to share it with the council and be able to share that with the residents. And Keith and I talked about it, and I said I'd rather he do it because I'm not sure where the line is of what legally we might want to disclose or not. So I figured I'd let him handle that announcement. So he got to share the good news.
Awesome.
Just want to let you all give you a little notice on putting onto your calendars Friday, June 10th at 4 o'clock. Out at the Rolling Oaks Park and at the barn, we're going to gather at tea time, plant a live oak in memoriam of Birdie Night, and then have some tea and some light refreshments. So that's Friday, June 10th at 4 o'clock out at Rolling Oaks. And I know December's coordinating that, and I know Astor will be in town. And since you all did such a good job of covering everything else, I'll just say, Marty, Marty, Marty. I can't believe that after 10 years, it's been a great run together, but you're breaking up the band. So I wish you well. You never, after 10 years, you just assume that we work together, we'll work together forever. So just want to publicly thank you for everything you've done for the town. Certainly for me, you've kept me out of trouble more times than I can count, and I appreciate that. I wish you well. I feel sorry for Pam, but we'll see how well you adjust to retirement. And just don't lose your phone. Take care and be well, Marty. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you. All right. Item number 10. Before we read that into the record, I just want to make one quick comment. I know, Gary, you and I may disagree on this item. Certainly, I know that we're both coming from different viewpoints that we feel is best for the town. I just don't want in any way, certainly nothing personal, but we will probably disagree on this. But I respect your position and appreciate your position. So
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. Russell, if you can please read this item.
Certainly, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, amending Section 105-030 of the Town of Southwest Ranches Unified Land Development Code of Ordinances pertaining to quasi-judicial hearings and ex parte communications, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, if there's a motion and a second, I'll jump in and just explain where we're at procedurally, then I'm going to watch the fireworks.
Okay, and there is some changes I'd like to make to this, but I'll make a motion to approve as written right now.
And I'll second.
All right, so Mayor, just for purposes of the record, because I was out of town, when it came before you all on first reading, it was essentially a blanket ban on ex parte communication. That was slightly modified by the council at the last meeting. We added in section, it's black line section E, which essentially allows the council to speak to the town's planning director, which is Jeff Kadams, and legal counsel in the event they speak to legal, as long as it's not something that could jeopardize the town, that would be deemed to be real attorney-client privilege. It will be immediately redacted to writing, provided to everyone in the council, provided to the applicant, and made part of the record. So that's essentially where we're at today, and it's to you all for consideration.
Thank you, Keith.
Just to start off, the ball rolling, the one change I would like to see is where it's the town planning director and the town attorney and also the town administrator, to add the town administrator into that same group. That would be the only change I would, at this point.
If I can add something, I've received a lot of input on this, and I'm kind of the position that maybe we should send this off to the state attorney general for an opinion. And I don't know what the town council procedure would be, more or less table it until we get an opinion from the attorney general, but I'm kind of leaning to see what the attorney general would opine on this.
Yeah, I also have some serious concerns about this from a number of different angles. I feel pretty strongly that this is not an ordinance that's in the best interest of the town or the residents of the town. And I have some concerns about whether it's aligned with state law or not, which I know, David, is what you're alluding to. I feel that this is coming from a good place. I understand where it's coming from. But I believe it's trying to fix something that's not broken, and I'll explain that. There have been some situations in the past where there have been some communications that I believe were inappropriate, and the goal of this ordinance is to ensure that doesn't happen in the future. So it's coming from an admirable place. However, I believe, from my perspective, the reality is that this is going to, if this were to pass, a couple of things would be true. Number one is those kinds of conversations, if somebody was not ethical, those conversations are still going to go on. This is not going to stop those conversations. They can have those random meetings at Publix, or frankly, pick up the phone and make a call and nobody's going to know about it. This is not going to stop those. What this is going to stop is people that are trying to, like I believe all the council members here sitting before you tonight, it is going to stop us from having, I think, very important and needed conversations with our residents. Many times in quasi-judicial items, it's our residents that come before us. And this will stop us from having the ability to talk to those residents before they come before us. I think that we are in a position, we are elected to represent the residents of this town. That's our job. That's why we're sitting up here, to be representatives of the residents. We should not be putting up new roadblocks for us to talk to residents. We should be opening up more pathways for talking to our residents. That's why I have the mayor's call that we didn't have before. It's a new pathway to talking to our residents. That's why when people come up and give public comment, I very rarely shorten their time because I value what they have to say, and if they're not done saying it in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I want to hear the rest of it because it's important, because we're here to represent those residents. And we can only represent residents adequately if we have adequate ways to communicate back and forth. This ordinance, I believe, is going 180 degrees the wrong direction. It's cutting off an avenue of communication rather than promoting avenues of communication with the residents. I cannot support it. Last meeting, I tried to find some middle ground. Frankly, one of the rules that I have up here is I will not vote for an ordinance or anything that comes before us if I can't defend it to my residents. And I can't defend this one to you all. I can't do it. I can't sit here and say that I know better than you do. I don't need to hear from you on this issue. I just know better. I can't do that. I don't think it's right. We had a meeting for Sunshine Ranches last night on an important issue. And I listened in to the meeting until that item came up. And at that point, I signed off the meeting because out of a spirit of wanting to be in line with this ordinance in case it passed. And so I dropped off the call, as did David and as did Jim, because we felt that was the right thing to do, given the fact that this was on the agenda for tonight. However, all the residents got to hear about the pluses and the minuses of this project that's going to be going on. All the residents, but the three of us. And who's going to be the ones that need to vote on this? The three of us plus two more. To me, that makes no sense. That's, like I said, 180 degrees the wrong direction. I admire where this ordinance is coming from. However, I cannot support it because I believe it's going 180 degrees in the wrong direction. We need to promote communication with the council and residents, not have ordinances that limit it. So I cannot support this. I'll be voting against it. Thank you.
I hear you, Mayor, and I understand your concerns. How do you handle the one-on-one closed-door meetings? We don't know what's being said, and you're getting more information.
Yeah.
Or another council member is getting more information than anybody else is, or some deal is being cut that maybe go down the road. How do you handle that?
Great question. Great question. Because that's where this comes from, right?
Right, exactly.
That's where this comes from.
Exactly. I mean, when I passed council, it was a very interesting way for me to find out who had closed-door meetings. I just happened to look at the campaign donor list.
Right.
And it kind of matched up.
Right.
You know, it's just a little too coincidental.
Yep.
You know, that sort of thing. And I said this in the beginning, this does not apply to the five of us up here. I trust all of us. We're not going to be here forever.
Right.
And this is something that what happened before can happen again. And you're right, more information is better than less information. But is the information being equally distributed? Right. You know, that's the key thing. And I think we can work on something like that. I'm hoping we can. I don't know. But that's really where I'm coming from, is somebody has information. You know, this is more of a guideline.
Yeah.
That, because like you said, the bad person's gonna do it regardless. Okay, we all know that. But this is a guideline for the administration, for the town planner. When somebody comes in, they can say, okay, you're not gonna be allowed to have a private meeting with the council. That's basically what it is. So you need to have all your ducks in a row, you know, and go on and the protocols,
Yep.
you know, that would get put in. That was how I would envision this would be going on through the town administrator, through the town attorney, and through the land planner.
Right.
You know, that everybody would understand that the council is off limits because they're acting as a judge. And the quasi process is, next to the budget, is probably the most important thing that we do up here, because we act as judges, not as investigators, right. Not as this, which this allows us to investigate. We just can't make the contact. I mean, if you're an honest person, you're not
Right.
going to make the contact.
Right.
You know, that's what the goal is, ultimately, to come here so that we all five hear the same stuff all the time. No, you know, backdoor deals, no none of this, or, you know, or I'm going to contribute to your campaign if this goes through.
Exactly.
You know, that's where I'm coming from.
I know, and it's a great question. I think there's two elements, two different types of communication. One element that you're talking about is the back office deals. You know, how do we stop that from happening? And the truth is, first of all, as we've said, and I think we all agree, that for someone who's not ethical, as you said, this is a guideline. That's going to still happen, and it'll still show up on people's campaign accounts. And that's one of my points, is this does not do what we need it to do. If this shut that down, then I would say, well, we're trading one positive for a negative, for another positive, But this isn't going to shut it down. I believe that is based on someone's personal ethics and their willingness to do the right thing. I think we're very fortunate with the council we have today. So this is not going to stop that. But what does stop that, and I give you tremendous credit for having stopped it, was the 5-0 vote. Okay? Because it doesn't matter if we have a council with a rogue mayor or a council member on it, or even two rogue mayors. Well, it would be a problem if we had two mayors, but that would be a problem. But two rogue councilmen, or three, or frankly, even four. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We just need one person, like you did, like Bob did, to stand up for what's right for the town, and the town was protected. That's what protects the town, not this ordinance. That's what protects the town, and it was proven that through your diligence and Bob's diligence, that's what protects the town from those back office deals. So, and if we lose all 5 council members, you know what? We're screwed. Okay? That's the net effect. So for the voters, it's on you. Residents, it's on you to make sure that doesn't happen.
What's up to the people?
But at the end of the day, so that's one side of it. I don't think this fixes that. And I think at the end of the day, what's most critical is the 5-0 vote that you and I authored together a number of years ago, and that is what is going to save the town from these back office deals. Now there's the other piece of communication, the piece that I'm not interested, obviously, in the back office deal. So why do I want this? What kind of communication do I want? Well, let me describe what I'm afraid of losing. There's a difference in the communication that you would have if you were sitting in a courtroom as a juror hearing the testimony back and forth versus what you would hear if you sat down with that same individual at Starbucks and had a conversation about what's your vision for what's going on here? What's happening to motivate you to do this? What have you done to talk to your residents and things like that? Kind of get the lay of the land, if nothing else, to know the right questions to ask when they show up here in front of us. To come into here blindly, or to just have once again, I'll say this, I said it last meeting, I'll say it again because I want to be absolutely clear. We have an amazing legal department. Absolutely, this is no negative towards legal at all, but their job is not to represent the residents. Let's be clear on that. We don't hire them to represent the residents and to give a nice two-sided story to things that come before. They come here, they are here to defend the town and to do what's best for the town. So that's their job. That's what we pay them to do. That's what we want them to do. So they will come to us and they will present the side for the town. Who presents the side for the resident? Unless we have the opportunity to meet with those residents and to talk with them, nobody does. And they show up here, and I've seen it happen. They show up here and there's already a narrative in place. It's a negative narrative, and they are not treated well, okay? Because it's, and what's bad is that we should be only basing what we do, our decision, based on what we hear in front of us. But there's already a narrative when they show up. But it's a one-sided narrative. Unless we take the time to have that communication with the residents, we'll never hear the other side. And so I'm trying to balance that out. And that's the conversation I want to have. I don't mind any restriction that we want to put on that narrative or that conversation. I'm okay with it. You want to have legal there? I'm okay with it. You want to have administrative there? I'm okay with it. You want to have somebody transcribe it? I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to do anything behind anybody's back, but I need to talk to the residents. I need to understand their side. I need to have that opportunity so that when they stand before me, I've heard both sides, and I can ask them the best questions that I need to understand and to make the wisest decision I can for our town. That's where I'm coming from.
So how would you implement that? The idea is
Yeah.
not bad. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
how, give me a real-world scenario.
Well, I think, that's kind of the world we live in today without this ordinance, okay? Except that, I'm not sure what your question is. If your question is, how would we implement, like having legal there or whatever? Oh, okay, I got you. So, I would leave that to the professionals to do. I think what we would probably do, my best guess, I'm sure they would improve on this, but we would set up a meeting here in Town Hall, and if multiple of us wanted to be there, we would make it, but listen, let me finish, okay? Before we jump on me, can I just finish? All right, so, like I said, I would defer to the professionals to set it up however they want to set it up. What I'm saying is, I'm okay however they set it up, so long as I have the ability to talk to the residents. That's the parameter that I need, and that's the parameter that's missing from here, is that I can't talk to the resident.
Yeah, but a lot of the problems that we had, a lot of them, in fact, almost all of them, were non-residents.
Right.
Toll Brothers, Circle S, Proscapes, Tractor Supply, all those are non-residents, okay? And they all tried to influence all the members, and they knew they didn't get anywhere. And I'll give you a perfect example. I've already given the other examples, but I'll give a perfect example. Was Toll Brothers Magnolia Estates.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to put in they had a particular problem. I don't remember what it was. Well, I stipulated that they had to put in a turn lane.
Right.
And that was very controversial.
Right.
In fact, I had half of the council, the mayor even said, I want to put mud on your face, for this. And Toll Brothers, to their credit, said, we're not getting involved in this. We'll put in the $80,000 toll lane, turn lane. And what my position for the town on getting the turn lane put in is as many turn lanes as we can put in on a 2-lane road will stop it from becoming a 4-lane road down the line.
Yeah, sure.
That was my motivation. It was on the builder's dime, to do that. So that was, that's a one instance where I had no communication with them whatsoever, and they knew that they were not going to get my vote until they went to that extreme.
Right.
Bob wants to
Yeah,
talk.
go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of comments.
Talk.
Oh, sorry. When I give things a first read for preparing for council meetings, I do my best to understand what I'm reading. But after the conversation we had at our last council meeting, I gave this as much due diligence as I could afford in my life since about Monday or so. And last meeting, I thought this was a great idea. And there are some elements that I think are still worth discussing. But I agree, this won't make a dishonest person honest. We have methods to do that. Talking about Magnolia Estates, do you remember somebody fighting to keep the airport designation so that whoever the developer was would have to continue to send out paperwork on that? Where did that come from? Well, I called the developer after the fact and said, what was that? And they explained the whole thing to me. Somebody on the council absolutely wanted that, and they couldn't back off from that because it didn't make any sense. Yeah, I could go on and on. I sat through the same things you did, Gary, and I couldn't prove any illegality, or we would have had the Inspector General involved. That's the bottom line. I kept sniffing it and feeling it, and you're right. You look at the campaign reports, and boom, there was the evidence, but again, I couldn't prove anything. I've read there's 3 Attorney General opinions on this particular section of the statutes. And essentially, one of them, which is the only formal one, doesn't apply to us. But the other 2 really carve out and explain what this is all about. But there's one piece, Keith, that I'd love to hear from the Attorney General on. And it's in our current. basically the word communications, any communications. And again, it's not that I doubt anybody here. But in the future, if I have a conversation, any of us have a conversation with an applicant, I don't want to hear that you had a conversation. And this is more to the learning than it is to, to try to catch somebody in something. If you have a great conversation with, or you gather information from them that would be the benefit to the council, that's what I want to know about. Because, it helps us all understand the applicant's position better.
Right.
So Keith, right in the first, I can point it out to you, but they use the word communications in there, in ex parte communications. In the very beginning of their opinions, they talk about communications, but they're not specific. If it's only having to disclose that I spoke to Joe Blow developer on such and such a date, that doesn't help anybody.
Right.
That just says Bob's had a conversation. And honestly, it puts me in doubt. But if I had to say, we discussed their turning lanes, we discussed the cul-de-sac that they're planning, where we discussed some of the trees and landscaping they're looking to put in, I would be far more comfortable with us meeting to talk with them. And again, it might be already covered in the law the way it's written, but I see different contexts in the way the word communications is used throughout. And again, I can shoot you exactly what I'm talking about. There's a number of different places. So, but you've heard me say this a number of times up here as well. I don't really like to change things that aren't broken. I don't like to, I'd rather leave it as it is. And if there are other enhancements we need to do, I'm fine with that. I'm glad you brought up the 5-0 vote, because it was a very big stick. And if you remember when the property was being discussed on US 27 2 years ago, there was a discussion on site plans. And when I suggested that every time they make, they're going to build another building, they come back with site plan revisions, and I felt strongly to protect the neighborhood.
Right.
Well, when I withheld my vote for that, I was called a socialist. I was twisting arms. I could go on and on.
Right.
And, no, I'm protecting the people over the fence.
Right.
And then, of course, the rest is history.
Right.
So I think we have the tools. Perhaps we need to continue the institutional knowledge and the use of those tools to protect the community, protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we get a bad egg on, it's going to be really obvious, because it was pretty obvious. I just couldn't prove anything. Vote no.
Yeah, that bad egg could do a lot of damage.
No, I disagree. That's the point, is the bad egg can't do a lot of damage. 5 bad eggs could do damage.
Yeah.
But 4 bad eggs with 1 good egg can still hold the line and protect the town. That's why the 5-0 vote is critical.
No, I get that.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying, is 1 bad egg cannot, they can say a lot of stuff, they can make a lot of promises, they can do a lot of things that aren't right or ethical, but at the end of the day, they can't do any damage.
Yeah.
Because they're only 1 vote, and that's not going to cover it.
Yeah. So.
Jim,
Thank you.
I would like to see, let me put this. I think we all agree that we're not comfortable, and Bob, I like what you just said as far as when we sit up here and we say, yeah, I had a communication. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
If anything, it sounds like when we stopped there, like we must have, made some back office deal. I think that we should, I would prefer to stay where we are, but to expand on that to where if we say, yes, we had a conversation, then we need to give, like you said, exactly what you said. There's we need to give a skeleton view of the topics that we talked about. I think that's more than appropriate, and frankly, I think it's important. I think that's more of a policy change.
Jim, you want to?
Gary, I've read through this 2 or 3 times. And I was in agreement last meeting when we come up with an idea of meeting with the town attorney and Jeff, our town planner, and now that you wanted to throw Andy in the mix, but to tell a council person, either myself or any of you, that you can't meet with somebody to get the whole idea of what's going on, because we are presented with one side here. I see that. I'm new to this, so I see it. To tell somebody that they can't meet with them, I don't believe is right. I think that 5-0 vote's the most critical thing we've ever done. I know it's been repeated over and over again, but if we end up with 5 bad council people, then shame on the town. That's all. They're the ones that got the council that's sitting here now because they didn't feel that maybe the other council was doing the right thing. So I thank the residents for that. And, I wouldn't be in favor of not being able to speak to somebody.
David, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, we go back to the, one of the big issues affecting Sunshine Ranches was the tractor supply.
In the mic, please.
Mind the mic.
Oh, sorry. If we go back to one of the main issues affecting Sunshine Ranches was the proposed tractor supply at the end of Luray Road. I had conversations with Billy Shapiro, Erica, Joel right across the street, whose home was kind of, I'm going to use surreptitiously blocked out from the handout from Jeff and Laurie. Those are the people that, I mean, speaking with them inspired me. And Chris and I went door to door, and we drove all the way up and down Appaloosa, went all the way up and down Luray, explaining what was going on. And, that's why we had this whole room packed, standing room only, because I was able to have that conversation. I think that a council member should be able to have a conversation with the residents. And that's kind of why I was kind of supporting this issue with sending it to the Attorney General to have an opinion made on this without just killing it abruptly. I think there are some things that could be allowed with this, but just to kill it all the way, if it kills all the way, then it's killed all the way. But it could be amended, I think, to create some good ground of what we're trying to do here. And what I did notice is, even if somebody has a conversation and lies about it, that they didn't have a conversation, there's no consequences in here at all.
Inspector General at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a guideline.
It is.
And all that. But let me entertain another thought. Okay. We're all here about the residents.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm one of the first people that stands in line and
Absolutely.
takes the first punch.
Absolutely.
Okay, or whatever is required. Whether I got to wear floppy ears or do whatever. I'm not going to arm wrestle over this, so don't get that idea.
Right.
All right, but let me run this up
Not
the
flipping
flag.
coin.
Huh?
We're not flipping the coin.
No, you guys don't like my coins. Since this is all about the residents.
Yeah.
We have an election coming up. We have a charter review. Why don't we make this a charter question?
Our job is to make decisions. Our job is not to turn the tough decisions over to the residents. I think that, every tough decision, we can't turn it over to the residents. I think this is clear cut. I feel very confident that cutting off our communication with the residents is 180 degrees the wrong direction. What I would like to do is I would like to, frankly, I want to vote this down, to be honest with you, but I want to set up a policy that does say that we need to give guidance for the conversations that we've had. I think that needs to be on the record. I think that, more than anything else, will not only not do harm by cutting us off from the residents, but it'll actually do a positive thing. It'll give information that we've never had before to share with the residents of what conversations we've had, rather than today we just saying that, yeah, I had a conversation, or no, I didn't have a conversation.
That was my point, yeah.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
getting
So, but
more-
I don't
there's
think
something good
we
here.
need an ordinance to do that. I think we need a policy change to do that. And the reason why I say that is because state law is very specific, as has been brought out, on if we're going to have an ordinance, this is what it's got to look like.
3 sections.
Right. And so I know that our ordinance today meets that. And so I think we just need to enhance the policy so that we give the residents more comfort to know that we're doing the right thing, and frankly, to share some of the knowledge of the conversations we had.
Steve, the reasons you're discussing are exactly why 286-115 was put together. And it says right here that the legislature expressed its concern that local elected public officials have been obstructed or impeded from fair and effective discharge of their sworn duties and responsibilities due to the expansive interpretations of Jennings versus, and the rest is just qualifying it. But that's why this was put together, to keep the channels open.
Right, exactly.
So you're saying the big concern on this is disclosure of, my big concern is disclosure of ex parte communications. Like I said, they use communications all over the place. That would be the only thing that I would want to go for an opinion on. However, if we put our own policy in place and our attorney feels that our policies address that in a legal sense, then I'd be comfortable with that.
Awesome.
Mayor, can I,
Yeah, please. Thank you.
just to throw this out, and I threw it out last meeting on the telephone and through Andy, didn't have any traction, fine, but I just want to throw it out again as to see if there's any grounds here. I do think your policy would still need to be codified in ordinance to not make it just the new council come in and say,
Okay.
we're done with the policy in one meeting.
Good point.
So I still like it to be in an ordinance, but it still can be done in this vehicle just through a simple amendment of this ordinance tonight, if that's how you choose to proceed. But what I'm hearing is one of your number one issues is full and complete disclosure of items discussed at an ex parte meeting. The definition of communications, although we know what it is, orally, written, et cetera, it's not defined anywhere, and it wasn't defined in the Supreme Court case in Miami-Dade County v. Jennings as to how far a disclosure goes. I will tell you, I've been at countless meetings across the entire state, and everyone does what you generally do. I spoke to the applicant, I spoke to this resident, and you're right, you don't get anything from that, and but that is the general standard. So, hearing what you're saying and putting it back out there, what came up for a brief second the last meeting, unless it has no support at all, is is within the ordinance, you require the council who has ex parte communication to give full and complete disclosure of the items that they heard at their meeting. And I would add in these following ones, subject to policy decision of the council, that the quasi-judicial meeting take place at town hall. I think it's important that an ex parte meeting occurs here and not in someone's house or, some other location. I also think it's critically important that, which is a policy now of almost every city I work in, that a member of town staff has to be present within that meeting to have a verification of what was said and to ensure that nothing inappropriate took place. And then the final thing, which would be open, which, yes or no, I threw it out there last time, which was that the meeting would be open to the public if anyone wanted to come in and listen in on that meeting to ensure even more so the veracity of the conversation and what transpired.
Does that require notice then?
Yeah, but it's a simple posting by Russell saying 48 hours out that council member so-and-so's meeting.
I like what you're saying, Keith. However, I would make one additional statement in that, and I completely agree, not at somebody's house, but a site visit is also discussed in here, and I like the idea of going to a site that is going to be discussed. So
As long as it's noticed and a council,
Right.
a employee and accessible to the
I would
public.
just say end site, not just limited to town hall.
I would agree
Yeah,
with
go ahead,
what
Dave.
Bob is adding on there. I would agree with Keith and Bob's supplement.
I certainly would agree with that. I mean, that meets all the criteria that I would like. Jim, are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Gary, what's your thoughts?
I think it accomplishes what I'm trying to get to.
Good.
It's something I can live with. And of course, the meeting is not mandatory.
Right.
Yeah. I have had the policy for 10 years that I don't meet with anybody.
I know.
Before that, I don't want to suddenly find myself where I have to meet with them,
No.
that kind of thing. I found out, as you know, through Circle S, Toll Brothers,
Yeah.
Tractor Supply, everybody, people come to the negotiating table much more accommodating when
Here.
some things they're not
Right here.
able to complete. Like, twisting my arm or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if that's still continues,
Yeah.
I'm okay with this because then everything's out in the open and there's full transparency. That's
Perfect.
what I'm looking for,
Perfect.
not the backroom deals, not where I
Absolutely.
got to read a political campaign report to go, okay, now I know why that happened.
Right.
And we've all been down that road right now.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and 10 years from now, hopefully we'll all be around, but we'll be retired or something else, But, we'll have different people be sitting up in these
Yeah.
chairs, and this is where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
It's not for right now. It's 10 years, 15 years down the line.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
Mayor,
Keith,
yeah, I
comment.
just want to add one thing. Russell reminded me on something that actually makes your life as council members even easier. Because if we say that the meeting is posted and open to the public, minutes by that staff member who will be there have to be taken of that meeting. So you could go make it very easy on yourself on the disclosure and just having the minutes be the skeleton of what occurred at the meeting, make that part of the record of what transpired. And for your disclosure, the disclosure is automatic because
there.
it's the minutes of the meeting.
That's awesome.
So I
Who
know
takes the
Russell just
minutes?
gave staff more to do, but it made a lot of sense.
I think Andy
Staff-
just had a heart
staff take the
attack.
minute?
All right, we'll get to it. All
You
right.
don't need a verbatim from a
No.
No.
court? Okay.
No.
No.
Nor should you, because
No.
if it's a recorded meeting, just so you all know, everyone would have to listen to that meeting.
Yeah.
It becomes a nightmare of a
It-
situation.
I want to go back, the idea here is to have a give and take and an open conversation, so it's not like a recorded conversation. All right, so I'm going to open it up to the public.
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. What you're saying about the meetings, I tend to agree with that, except for one thing. That all the meetings are to take place at Town Hall unless it's specifically going to be an on-site meeting. And a member of Russell's office is to be present, and it is to be fully recorded from the time it starts until the time it ends, and there would be the written notes given to the council. And if the council has any question about it, they can go to the recorded notes, recorded meeting. And the recording is to start and be continuous until the meeting is over and breaks up. It is not to be started and stopped. It is to be continuous recording the entire time, because I have seen in other municipalities where it has been stopped and things have been said and then started again. It is to be a continuous recording sworn by the clerk's office. And it is to be noted at the beginning, since we are a two-party state, that it is being recorded, so it can be used. I am worried about what we've had in the past, and it still hurts too much and burned my feet too much. That's why I'm so intent on our budget being one page matching the next page. And I'm also wanting to make sure that anyone who has these ex parte meetings out there go, oh, gee, I had a meeting with them. Okay, we had a meeting with them. I want the notes of that meeting given to each member of the council and to be available to the residents also, if we ask for them. I want a recording made of the entire meeting from start to finish. If there's a 15-minute break, I want to hear 15 minutes of quiet. If there's a lunch, I want to hear 30 minutes or an hour of quiet on that recording. I do not want that recording stopped for any reason whatsoever once the meeting starts. I am that worried about side deals. It's not going to stop the illegal side deal. That's why we have the ethics. And one of the major reasons there's an inspector general in Broward County is the town of Southwest Ranches, if you remember. We sent 2 county commissioners to jail. We sent our town planner to jail. We sent our town real estate agent to jail, along with several other people. If you will remember, I do not want to send anyone else to jail. I want them available in the future to know we are an honest, not a corrupt town like we had been in the past. And I don't want to see anyone else going to jail. And I don't want to see anyone else to have the inclination to go to jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Mayor, just one thing legally in response. While another municipality may record, I actually don't know any that do. I don't recommend that, especially in this occasion. If you're requiring a member of town staff to be there and the meeting open to the public, there's a lot of safeguards already
Yeah.
in place that
I think we have consensus on the council that we would not record.
I just wanted to mention that
Thank
for
you.
the legal stuff.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item?
There are a couple things to pass out.
I'll distribute it. Thanks.
Thank you, Russell. Jason Halberg, 5751 Thoroughbred Lane. Good evening,
Can't hear
Mayor,
you.
Council,
Can't
staff.
hear you.
Can't hear you at all.
Interesting. Okay, I'll take this off. You can hear me now?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Much better.
Much better.
Good evening. First off, I'd like to thank each of you for your honesty, your integrity, and your dedication to our town. I know in your hearts, you're in the right. This is, you mean, that there's good intent here. I do see, however, some possible unintended consequences, and just want to highlight a couple. It first would take away your rights, or take away certain rights to you as a quasi-judicial body currently afforded under Florida statute. It would take away the rights of residents to discuss certain matters with their council, as provided under the same statute. And it appears to create an issue with the defendability of future quasi-judicial hearings if certain procedures are not properly established in accordance to this statute. In 1995, as some of you already mentioned, Florida legislators enacted a new law at that time as defined under Florida Statute 286.0115 to address problems presented by what was referred to as the Jennings case. This law provided municipalities the ability to adopt specific language to remove the presumption of prejudice from ex parte communications with local public officials. Absent the adoption of such procedures, and the presumption of prejudice for ex parte communications would remain intact. This could potentially result in a due process claim for a new and complete hearing. In 2005, just like almost every other municipality in Florida, Southwest Ranch has adopted such language to remove the presumptions of prejudice from ex parte communications. Exhibit B there. Tonight, you are looking to change that language. I'd like to direct you also to Exhibit C, page 1, which is actually the Florida statute. It reads, notwithstanding the provisions of subsection 1, a county or municipality may adopt an ordinance or resolution establishing the procedures and provisions of this subsection for quasi-judicial proceedings on local government land use matters. The ordinance or resolution shall provide procedures and provisions identical, I want to say that again, identical to this subsection. By adopting this proposed ordinance in front of you tonight and deviating away from the required language as provided by the statute, the town could be open to future potential due process claims. Another issue I see with the ordinance would be removing the right for a resident to communicate with the council. See Exhibit C, page 2, same document. It states that in a quasi-judicial proceeding on local government land use matters, a person may not be precluded from communicating directly with a member of the decision-making body by application of ex parte communication prohibitions. If I could just get just another minute.
Yeah, go ahead. And I think you're referring to Exhibit B, not C, just.
That is correct. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. Another item that struck me as just as concerning was under one of the whereas clauses where it states, and this is under the proposed ordinance that you have in front of you, the town council believes it is in the best interest of the citizens and residents of the town to prohibit ex parte communications in quasi-judicial proceedings. Is it? Or is it in the best interest of the town and the decision-making body? It appears to conflict with the intent of most other municipalities throughout Florida. They would disagree with this statement simply based on their adoption of the procedures under Florida Statute 286.0115. More specifically, I want to direct you to the last exhibit, D. It's a resolution of the town of Fort Myers Beach which states, under the whereas clause, it is in the best interest of the citizens of Fort Myers Beach to permit discussions with any local public official the merits of any matter on which the action may be taken by any board or commission on which the local public official is a member. You will also notice that the language that's in the Fort Myers Beach resolution is identical, word by word, to the statute as required, it appears, by the statute. And finally, under the proposed ordinance, there appears to be no significant legal remedies. Right? We've kind of carved out, certain procedures that afforded by Florida statute. I think it's 112. That's pretty much it. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong here, but those are some observations I made. Just wanted to, think outside the box.
Great.
You've obviously
Thank
done
you.
a lot of work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
I know it's irrelevant because you're not going in this direction, but I just want to at least state for the record, the ordinance that Councilmember Jablonski, Vice Mayor, I think, right?
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Jablonski, not used to the seat change,
Yeah.
proposed, is identical to the current regulations of Miami-Dade County. They have done their own full opinions, which I gave to yourself, and I think Councilmember Kozinski asked for it, saying that it completely complies with all legal requirements. In addition, we saw an external legal opinion from a law firm who represents most of the municipalities in the state of Florida, and they concurred it fully complied with state law. And the reason is because in 286.0115, the last sentence in 1A, which says that, however, this subsection does not require a municipality to adopt an ordinance or resolution. So I just want to let you know, I know it's not going this direction,
fine.
but I just wanted a CYA to let you know that that analysis had already been done. It is legal, but so is the
Yeah, okay.
proposed one
Thank
that you're
you.
doing.
Thank you. So, so moving forward with this, I think we have a consensus on how to move forward. Do we need to table this, or can we get it done tonight?
I think you can get it done tonight. I think it's very simple what you've asked for.
All right, let's
you-
go
you're-
over what we've asked for, just to make sure that we're all
Sure.
on board with it.
You've asked for all ex parte proceedings to either occur at town hall or at the site
site.
that's in question.
Right.
That a member of the town staff has to be present at that meeting and take minutes of that meeting, which will be included in the record when the item comes before the council,
Perfect.
meaning that the entire public will be able to read it, it will be online, et cetera. That the meeting will be noticed and opened to the public, and that was it.
Just a question about implementation, though. Do we go back to, we strike all the changes that were proposed to the current ordinance and just go back to, carte blanca, back to the beginning and add that language in a separate ordinance?
No, we'll just, the section that we will not delete, we'll just add that in as the requirement for the council relating to ex parte.
Yeah, but there's a section,
I gotta look at it
there's a
real
section
quick.
there that says it's just, we can only meet with, legal.
No, that all
Yeah,
comes out.
that's what I'm saying.
Sorry,
That's what I wanna
sorry,
make
sorry.
sure.
You do a
Yeah.
reset on the ordinance
Yeah.
and
What
just
number
revise
is
it
it?
with
Sorry.
these changes.
If you give me 30 seconds, I just want to pull it up. Thank
Yeah.
you.
30
Well,
That's easy. So everything, okay, everything else stays. There's no, are you still, this is just a question. Everyone still wants to get written communication?
You
and
know,
all this?
Keith, I think I would prefer that we table this till the next.
I'll bring it back in a second reading of an ordinance, but I just got to make sure I understand what I'm doing.
Okay.
If you all could open up the item and look at page 2 of the ordinance, which shows the existing language. Okay? The question that I really have is on written communication on 2. Are you still going to be reading written communication? What is the council's, what would you like to do?
You mean like emails?
Yes, how do you disclose that? That's the question that I'm asking.
Well, I would say that, and this is, I'm certainly open to conversation. To me, I think we should disclose that we got an email and the topic of the email. I don't know, is that appropriate?
Yeah, or you could make it even easier and just say that if you get an email that you've actually read, you forward it to Russell and add it to the backup as well.
Fantastic.
I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
So that's the only other one that we had changed in here. So this is what I recommend, that you make a motion and second it with the new language in it, including that email language, and then ask for it to be brought back to you at second reading with those amendments. And we'll put it on for the next agenda with all this written so everyone can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I need to rescind my first motion,
Do I need to rescind my second first?
Right.
I rescind.
and I'll make a motion with the following changes that our attorney Keith just recommended, and move forward for the next meeting.
I second.
Perfect. I'm good with that. We all good with that?
We
All right.
discussed.
Before we vote, Gary, thank you for your diligence on this. Thank you for, always having the town's best in heart, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
We've had public comment. Go ahead, Noel, what,
It's
and it'll come back
coming
again.
back to us.
Yeah.
Your direction on the new ordinance does not say the clerk's office. You say a member of staff, and I think it should be a member of the clerk's office because they take the best notes. And it's going to have to be registered with them also.
We'll make,
Also, all written
He doesn't like.
any and all written communication, not just the emails. You can also get texts.
Hey, Newell, in the 22 years the town's been around almost, who wrote the best notes ever, the best minutes?
You did when you said
Lil
no.
Sayer.
Will Sayer.
Lil Sayer,
Oh,
100%.
of course, yeah.
Wasn't in the clerk's office.
Yep.
She had the best minutes, I know, but as far as the existing staff, the best minutes are made by the clerk's office.
All right, thank you, Neil. Yeah, Joseph.
Joseph Altscher, 164th Terrace. I just want to bring, as I was listening to Keith read what he's proposing, just to give some thoughts about minutes. Who's going to be recording the minutes? I'm assuming you're attending a meeting on site. Someone is going to be taking minutes. Is there a possibility there's mistakes in the minutes that the people who are there may not agree with what's in the minutes? Each time you have meetings, you review the minutes from the prior meeting and you approve them. Is there going to be any kind of process like that? So I'm not commenting either way, other than as I was listening to it, it seemed like an area that maybe some attention should be paid to before it's finalized. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I think something like that could be clarified at the.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Focus on the record.
expect that when the minutes are, that we get a copy and we'd be able to review them, just make sure they're accurate. But it's important, it's important.
And then correct them at the hearing?
No. So it was always my goal, I mean, these are like little nuances, that when the minutes are taken, they're given to the council member reviews it and says,
We're good, we're good. Yeah,
Signs
good.
off on it.
Russell?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Procedurally, so we currently, for the council meetings, we take minutes, and the minutes that we take are obviously, they're action minutes. There are portions of it that we do provide additional detail. I'm looking for the level of detail that you're going to want. The reason why I'm asking the question is because we may need to, if you're looking for very specific detail, we may need to record those meetings.
Yeah, I think we're looking for something in the middle. What I'm looking for is something in the middle. In other words, there are no actions really for these are
Right, I
just
understand.
conversations.
Right.
So there isn't, so it would be blank. But I think that we need to, I just think we need to have the topics that we cover. That's it.
Right. Because the requirements for minutes, there are no specific requirements in statutes as far as how detailed they have to be. They can be as plain as, the meeting took place on this date, who was in attendance, what the general topics were, and that's it. So.
Yeah, we just need to know the topics that we
Okay.
discussed.
I think that the topics are important, but things get said after that, and I think the council member that's there needs to explain what happened regarding the topic. Because that's, I could just see too much wiggle room.
Yeah,
there.
well, I mean, I think that I'm happy to adjust it however we need to adjust it. I'm not, but my thought is that we have the topics there, and it's not just like, okay, we've got a list of the topics. So then if there's a topic there that maybe we think is inappropriate or is, what did we say on that topic? How deep in did we go in that topic? Then that would be something like we say, these minutes would be distributed at the meeting, and we'd be able to, challenge the council member on, so what did you talk about there?
Absolutely.
So it was more detail than just the topic.
In the minutes, I see only the topic, but you see the topics then, the rest that were discussed. And if you have questions on it, like what was discussed on there, that's an opportunity to challenge that council member on what that discussion was about.
But just remember, on a quasi-judicial item, you're not allowed to take a position. So,
You're just explaining what you talked about.
which is different. You just can never say to an applicant, I'm not in favor of that,
Right.
because that violates state law. So it just has to be straight out discussion.
All right, does that make sense, or you want something?
Yeah, I was just looking for something a little bit more deeper than just the topic only, but a little more detail, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And what that is, it doesn't come to mind, but, we'll know it when we see it.
Yeah, maybe we do this once or twice, and if it needs to be tweaked, we can tweak it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this happening a lot because
Right.
we passed a big series, and we have one on the docket for tonight, big series of land reforms that we've engineered, with Jeff and Keith and Andy. And I think we're going to see a smaller amount of quasi coming through than we have in the last 18 months. And, you know, and we're probably going to see more rezoning and site plan work than, you know, anything else. I'm just,
Yeah, we'll see.
you know, we'll see how it works out.
Right.
But we did tighten up for less density.
Yep. Okay. All right, are we ready? I think we're ready. Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Okay, so the item's tabled till maybe May 12th.
Great, thank you. Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Okay, and we didn't have to.
All right.
Didn't you have to arm wrestle?
I wanted another coin.
You can put your two-headed coin away.
Yeah. All right, item number 11.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. Item number 11 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, amending the Town of Southwest Ranches Unified Land Development Code, Article 10, entitled Definition of Terms, to revise the definition of the term net acre, to exclude certain surface water management areas and drainage easements, amending Article 45, entitled Agricultural and Rural Districts, Section 045-070, minimum plot size and dimensions, to provide for lots made non-conforming by this ordinance, providing for codification, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this item? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment closed. Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Certainly. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 12.
Item number 12 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, redistricting the town in accordance with Section 2.04 of the town's charter to incorporate the results of the 2020 census, repealing ordinance number 2011-14 by establishing and adopting 4 revised residential election districts prior to the qualifying period for the municipal election of 2022, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the town's code, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ready to have a motion and a second on this item. Is there any council discussion on this item?
Yeah, they jumped on it awful quick, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because it didn't affect them, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, thanks, guys. Oh, well,
What do you think, Jim?
I'm fine.
You good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm the beach ball, I'm
They
okay.
just
Yeah.
jumped on it.
All over the place.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Bob
All right.
didn't hear that. Thanks, Bob.
Bob, are you okay? Good with this?
Yes, I'm good with this.
All right. Is there any public comment on this item?
Oh,
Seeing none, public comment closed. Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Kozinski? Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 13, please.
Item number 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the 2022 amendments to the 2 interlocal agreements with Broward County, providing for the division and distribution of the proceeds of the Broward County additional 5-cent local option gas tax and the additional 3-cent local option gas tax, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute said agreements and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, council discussion on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none.
I did have a
Russell?
question on
Yeah,
this. Maybe
go ahead.
somebody can define it. So one of the lines in the background talks about motor fuel and special fuel sold. What does that mean? Can anybody say? It's on page 31 of 103, or the first line of the first page of the ordinance itself.
Where are you at? Again,
Background.
special fuel sold in Broward County.
Yeah.
Would that be aviation fuel, Bob?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
There are other fuels besides the
Gas.
well, yeah, this is the terminology that the Broward County uses. so-
Okay. I mean, I was just for my own edification. It's not going to change my thinking on it.
Right.
It's a cut and paste
Okay.
from Broward
All
County.
right. Thank you.
All right. Any public comment on the item? Seeing none. Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
14.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I don't like their numbers either on that. They're smaller than our actuals from the last election.
Yeah, we didn't grow as fast as the rest of the county, which is a good thing, except on this. All right, item number 14, please.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting and approving an agreement with Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services 2021 Urban and Community Forestry Program to receive $13,000.00 to supplement the Calusa Corners Park Native Planting Project, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2021-2022 town budget, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Love it.
Awesome. Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none. Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Certainly. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 15.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing for an amended and comprehensive fee schedule for building permit fees, engineering fees, fire fees, planning fees, and zoning fees associated with permitting and inspections, and to include administrative training and technology fees, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Great.
Andy, can you give us an introduction on this
Yeah,
item?
Mayor, yeah, I'm very happy to do it. And actually, I'm going to turn it over to Russell in a moment. But I wanted to commend him because he has spent months working on this process.
I hope not.
He's had input from CAP on the building fees. He's worked with Rod in Engineering and Public Works on those fees. He's worked with Julio on zoning. He's worked with Jeff Kadams on planning review fees. But not only have they looked within those departments at what their current fees are, they've looked at whether there are new fees that should be charged, whether there's fees that are on our fee schedule that need to go away, what's taking more time, what's taking less time. But in conjunction with that, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, Russell, because I do want you to talk about the process, but they also looked at all the surrounding municipalities. So this is something that's been in review by staff for many, many months at this point. We actually had hoped to get it to you a little bit sooner, but it's just how long it took to do the comprehensive review. And as I said, Russell headed this up, did an outstanding job with it, and I do want him to speak to the process.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mayor.
Thank you, Russell, for all the time and effort in this.
Certainly, Mayor.
Serious.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. Thank you, Andy, for the kind words. Want to quickly thank Julio, Rod, Jeff, and also Brian Dillon, our building official, and their help in putting this together. So this started out not as a way to look at increasing the fees, but really as a way of combining all of the fee schedules together so that people would have a more transparent idea of what it actually costs to develop something in the town. We had fee schedules from all of these different disciplines, and they were in different resolutions. Some of those different resolutions had been amended over time, and so there was a concern about where would people find all of the different fees? How would they know what something actually costs? And also the difficulty in if we needed to amend a fee in the future, having to go through 3 or 4 different, resolutions and amend those resolutions. So it started out as just basically combining and making one comprehensive fee schedule. But in going through it, we wanted to recognize the effort that it takes basically for our different staff members and our different contractors to perform that service. And as we do have a cost recovery model, we wanted to reflect that. The last time that the fees were reviewed, the most comprehensive review was back in 2012. So we felt that many of these fees were outdated and needed to be revised. And to the credit of staff and some of our contractors, we actually recognized, everybody would seem to think that everything is about the fees going up. But we actually found some fees that we felt that we didn't need to charge for. Some fees that actually maybe we were charging too much. So we actually looked at, in some cases, reducing some fees, and it's reflected in that exhibit that you have behind you. I won't get into too much detail beyond that, other than we did do a very comprehensive review. We did compare or benchmark ourselves against several other cities in Broward County, some with their own building departments within their cities, and some that contract out, which is our model. Our situation is very unique because we have kind of a hybrid. We have a contracted building department, we have an in-house engineering department that does review, we have a contracted out zoning review person, and also contracted out for planning services. So ours is a little bit of a unique model. But in doing the review, we determined that there was, basically some value in going through and revising some of the fees. And the proposed fees that are in the Exhibit A are those that we feel are reflective of the effort that's needed to undertake this effort. We also did put something in place that we didn't have right now, which is, I won't get into too much detail, but basically, we feel that in some cases, we have architects, engineers that utilize town staff to design their projects for them. And essentially what they do is they submit reviews and they submit plans, and it gets reviewed 3 and 4 times. And that effort isn't recouped because we have no way of doing that right now. So we've put a process in place that basically allows us to recoup. Basically, if there's a resubmittal that takes place more than 3 times, so you would think after the 3rd time they should have their act together. When that doesn't happen, this will allow us now to kind of charge an additional fee to recoup that extra effort. So that's something new. We did also, at the suggestion of Councilmember Hartman, and I appreciate his and yours, Mayor, your feedback on this item. You made us do a little extra diligence and extra work, and I appreciate the effort. I wish I would have had the foresight to do some of this stuff, and also, quite frankly, the time. But being that it was a priority of yours, I had to make this a priority. So we came up with a couple of representative project examples, and that's this exhibit that you see here. And basically, showing the current fees and also the proposed fees, what it would take, and what the delta, if you will, would be. So we show for a typical, let's say, a house permit that would have $1 million in job value, with the different departments that are involved in the review process, the building department, our zoning department, and our engineering department. The fee goes up, less than $2,000 in total, as you see there. One of the things that we wanted to address was a concern that we had heard, about something as simple as a door permit costing more than potentially the price of the door, and that was obviously concerning to me. So we looked into that a little bit further, and clearly that anecdotal reference is not the case. The permit charge as it is right now is only 1.75. It's a fraction of what the job value would be, so it'd be almost impossible for that to happen. But there is a minimum permit charge, so that minimum or that base permit charge is going to go from $90 to $100. So even if you did a door permit and the door was, let's say, a $4,000 door, your permit's only going to go up $10 from what it is now. Swimming pools, I gave another representative example of a $75,000 swimming pool, and as you can see, the delta there is less than $100. Concrete driveway. I work with the engineer, the town engineer, just to get an estimate of what the average value would be for a concrete driveway. Came up with a job value of $30,000. Some are going to be more, some are certainly going to be less. And the difference there also is less than $100, as you can see. Some of the fees actually remain the same. A slight increase in the building department charge. Then the last one we looked at was a guest house, and we used the maximum square footage, also at the urging of the engineer. So again, I appreciate his input on this, which is the maximum size of a guest house is 1,200 square feet. So using that and using a job value, a build-out value of about $200 a square, we came up with an approximate job value of $240,000, and worked up the different building charges, zoning charges, engineering charges, and what you see there is a difference of about $700. So we think that the fees are reasonable, reflective of the actual effort that it takes to put in, and we stand ready to answer any other questions you may have.
Very good. Do we have any, I'd like to go through page by page here. So, but if we have any general questions before we get into that?
Not a question, just a comment. I mean, I went through this page by page.
so did I.
I grew up in the construction business, and I didn't know what it requires anymore to build a house.
Yeah.
So looking through this, I mean, I recognize the amount of work in this, but these models, I can turn around to a resident and say, listen, it's on $1 million home, this is an extra $2,000.
Yeah.
Which is so much easier than, I was going through it with a calculator.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough.
Then I said, hey, Russell. So anyway, and he got it done in record time. We spoke last night. I was on the treadmill at about 5:30, and Russell's quickly taking notes, and he had this together today. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, great job, Russell. All right. So I don't think we need to go over this in line by line, but I thought I know, as Russell alluded to, I did go through it line by line on my own, had some questions for him, and pretty much got the answers. Well, I did get the answers, and they're all good answers. So, but let me just generally, I don't want to gloss over this, because we definitely will get questions from our residents on this, so I want to make sure we're all comfortable with it. Any questions on, or comments on page 1?
I am not.
Are we good?
I'm good.
All right.
Just
Yeah.
a quick, the down arrow just means that it's repetitive?
Yes, it's all the way through that section.
Okay.
Yep. I did have, I'll share this, that I did have a concern with the barn review at $200, but Russell walked me through it. There's a lot more involved there, so I think $200 is the right number.
I had that circled as well.
Yeah,
That's our pole barn, correct?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Prototype.
it's not, well, it's the barn plans that we can get from the
Standard
town.
barn plan.
Yeah, standard barn plans. Yeah. Anything on page 2?
Yeah, at the very top.
Yeah.
Where it says minimum fee and it's, for the proposal's blank.
Hmm?
What does that mean?
Where do you see?
We're on page 2?
Yeah,
At the very top?
It's Southwest, the current is like $90 and $100,
Right.
Yes.
but then the proposal is blank.
No.
Does that mean it
I've
doesn't
got,
change?
No, that's just a space to go over the next item, which is work without a permit. The current fee is $90 for a minimum base permit fee for residential. It's going to $100. And it's $100 for non-residential and going to $125.
Oh,
Work without a permit's
Hold
a
up,
section
Mr.
header.
Oh,
that's why,
Darn
now
hole
I see
punch.
it, now I see it. Somebody punched a hole through the fee.
sorry about that.
That's why I was missing.
so that one must be free now. At least if they talk to you.
That's what it
Only in
was to me. I
Gary's
couldn't-
world.
yeah. I was like, what?
All right. Anything else on, I actually had a question on this one as far as down at the bottom, where turn on the electrical, there is a zero there or a blank there. Russell, why don't you can just touch on that?
This was one of the questions that you had, and so it's what we used to call it was the turn on electrical inspection fee, but it's actually what it's called throughout the industry is a temp for test. It's basically providing temporary power so that they can test. And it's the same effort required and same coordination, whether it's residential or non-residential, so we didn't see a justification in breaking out the fee and charging more for non-residential. So it would essentially be 75 regardless.
Right, so we're gonna redo that so that it's a little bit more straightforward.
Looks like zero.
Yeah, okay. All right, page 3. Any questions, comments on page 3? Seeing none, I don't have any comments on that page either. Page 4. I'll say I was not sure exactly what addressing was on here, but it is exactly what it sounds like. It's setting up the address for a new location.
For a new property, correct.
So,
I missed that. Where is that?
about a third of the way down.
Yeah, I apologize, I don't have line numbers on here.
Got it.
Okay, so nothing else on page 4.
The town
Or-
charges for that?
We have to set
I
it
thought
up,
that was
yeah.
free from the post office.
Well, somebody has to tell the post office that we're doing
I
it.
did that when I built my house. I guess
No,
I got a
see?
deal.
Yeah, you did. All right, page number 5. I'll say I had a question on this one with the swimming pool, eliminating those in the new, I just wanted to understand that, and with the greater than 50 feet, less than 50 feet, but that's all just going to be combined into
Yeah,
one.
essentially,
So,
yep.
so clean up some of the wording on that one.
Right.
Anything else on page 5?
It's a funny thing what happens when you go through and you find some things that are just archaic and don't make
Right.
any sense anymore, so.
I had just big flags seeing the mobile homes, and then I saw NA. I was like, okay.
Yeah, so we're good. All right, so.
Mayor, there's no fee for tree removals, whether they're invasive or non-invasive. There's no, I thought there was a fee for tree removals. About 5 or 6 lines up on page 5.
Right. Just for a swimming pool.
Oh, okay.
Is that because you're putting in a pool and you have to remove a tree, there's no fee?
Nothing to do with it.
No, I don't think so.
Nothing to do with it.
No, I think what we did was we moved that over to, that's actually in our, I believe we have that in our zoning fees. Let me see. Yeah, we have it in our zoning fees, and so there was no reason to have it in 2 different places. If you look on page 7, it's actually somewhere towards, after the second yellow line, it's probably 6 or 7 down from there. It says tree removal, tree relocation.
Page 7.
Okay.
On page 7.
Mhm.
So it's under zoning category. That's why it was moved.
And mandatory is if they're putting in a guest house and they have to remove a tree, then there wouldn't be a fee for that.
Are you going back to page 6? I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm just,
I'm
it
trying to
says
follow.
it says non-mandatory, if not
What page are you
mandatory.
on, Jim?
I'm on page 7.
Okay.
Still
Again,
under
these,
tree removal?
these were under engineering, so we don't charge these fees for when we're doing the engineering review. We don't charge tree removal. That's handled solely by zoning as far as a fee being applied. So the NA refers to the fact that there's no engineering fee applied for tree removal. There is a fee applied for tree removal, but it's only applied under the zoning fees,
Let me
which
ask
is
you-
handled by a different entity. It's handled by our contractor, which is J. Medina, not handled by our in-house staff or engineering permit fee.
Got a question about that. So in the other section, there's tree removal for invasives and for non-invasives. If I want to clear an acre of Maluka trees, I now have to pay a permit fee?
Well, we have a clearing and grading permit that's been on the books, so that would still apply.
I got different answers once upon a time. Recently,
What was your question?
Yeah, so let's, all right, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
so when I came down to town hall to talk about clearing the north end of my property, it's all invasives, it's all Maluka trees and Bischoffias.
Yeah.
So I was told that there's no fees because they're all invasive.
Yeah, we passed that law a while back.
So I'm hearing differently right now, that's why I'm questioning.
Well, I'm just saying that there is a clearing permit. I'm not saying whether it's, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the part about invasive or non-invasive. I'm not certain on that, to be honest with you. If
Okay.
do we apply that for non-invasives? If we can have Mr. Medina address that issue? Yeah, I agree, I think, but I want him to state for the record. But we do charge for clearing, is my point.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to try and answer that question. So removal of invasive trees, there is no fee, does not require a permit. Clearing is different because we need to verify that the area that's being cleared, you're not going to be damaging wetlands. So we actually require wetland determination as part of that review.
Thank you.
That answers your question.
Thank you.
Jim, are you good with your answer?
Yes, sir, I
Okay.
understand. Great, thank you.
All right, awesome. Let's go back to page 5. Anything else on page 5 that we wanted to touch on? Seeing none. Page 6, anything on page 6?
No.
I didn't have anything on page 6 either. Page 7. Seeing none. Okay.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple typos I see in here. The fire sprinkler system per test, per 1,000 square feet of GRUS floor area, and then fee per 1,000 square foot of GRUS floor area.
Where do you see that?
Gross.
Man.
gross.
Newell will be proud of you for picking these up.
Attorney on the council.
We'll fix that.
You
Thank
do your
you.
own proofreading, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, so from council perspective, any other comments before I open it up to the public?
Mayor, can I
Good.
just say
Yeah,
one
go
other
ahead.
thing?
Yeah.
I thanked a couple of the staff members and the contractors that were involved in the process, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Keith also, because Keith, as he usually does, was probably even more brutal than any of you have been in this process, and making sure that he understood where we were going with these and why they were justified. So, Keith, thank you.
Good.
I have
Yeah.
a question. On page 7, I'm looking at landscaping irrigation, which I'm assuming is a sprinkler system? And it shows $340. I've got another piece of paper in here that shows that no permit is required for that.
Where do you see that?
I got to find it, but it's,
Oh, well, okay, so that's all right. So, so do we know, is there, I don't know, Julio, who's to ask, do we need a permit for irrigation, for putting in a sprinkler system? Okay, good, thank you.
So to clarify that question, I just want to make sure, any repairs to, in fact, I believe one of the council members recently reached out to me to ask this question. If you're just replacing a sprinkler head to an already pre-existing sprinkler system, no, you do not require a permit. However, for any new installation of an irrigation system, or in this case, when you're submitting for a new house and we have to do a landscape review, which includes irrigation, that's what that fee is for. But if you're just making a repair to a pre-existing sprinkler system, no, a permit would not be required.
Great, right. Yeah.
On that as well, I think the other part that might have added some confusion is on page 5, I think is where the vice mayor sees the other entry for landscape plan review and inspection, non-residential, and it says NA. What that also means, again, is not that a permit is not necessary or is necessary or not. What it's saying is it doesn't apply to the engineering fees. This is the engineering section of the permit fees, and it was listed on there, and so there was an NA because it's not an engineering fee that's charged, but we do charge the zoning review for it.
Gotcha.
Hey, Russell, or Mr. Mayor, right above that landscaping irrigation, you have clearing where you reduced the permit fee from $629.91 to $400, where you put in the parentheses, current price may deter compliance. I agree with that. That was a very wise decrease to encourage compliance.
Right.
Right.
And again, this was a wholesale effort to actually review and not just the wholesale increase.
Yeah.
The fees across the board. We wanted to look at the effort and was this something in the best interest of the town?
What's going to work for the town? Yeah, perfect. Andy, I know there was you probably have the numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but from planning and zoning, we've had set fees for a very long time, right? With Jeff and his firm there. So and those are changing, I think, very rightfully so.
Yeah.
But if we can just get that on the
Yeah,
record.
and that is
because-
actually part of the next item on the agenda.
Oh, it's
which
the
is
next item.
extension of Jeff's contract.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll wait, we'll hold off for that then. All right, thank you.
Russell, just a suggestion in terms of the formatting on this, because as I was going, and I'm having trouble with it now, you've got sections that are zoning. Make it a larger font, give it more space, so it kind of calls out that section as zoning and engineering. I'm still looking for it. It doesn't stand out when I'm flipping through the document, and if I'm having that problem, I'm assuming that you're going to get questions from the residents or GCs that come in.
Great suggestion, and this is not intended to be the final format of the document. This was just to help illustrate the difference from current to proposed.
Gotcha.
no, I can't find it, but it listed everything.
Wouldn't look good on TV.
All right. Any other comments before I open it up to the public? All right. Is there any public comment on this item?
Noel Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. Well, one of the things I was going to say has been taken care of. Okay, page 7.
Found it.
Taking a look at the lighting, which is the first thing there under fee type. You have the commercial outdoor event, but for wayside stands only. We have a new event in our town that just took place, and that's the carnival. It had lighting. Every event of this type, the fairs, the carnivals that I've had, there's always been a lighting fee, permit fee, part of it. I think we need to take a look at those fees that go with the carnivals and fairs and stuff, because they are multi-time and they do have a possibility of needing inspection. Okay, further down, and this is exactly where it starts on page 7 and 8, down just above fire inspections where it says minimum fee, and it goes across, and it's $99.15. Everything else ends in a 0 or a 5. Could we round those off to $100 maybe? And then the next thing down is annual fire inspections for hotels, multiple family dwelling units, up to 50 units, 51 to 100 units, 101 or more units. I didn't know we had those in our town.
We're prepared for anything, Newell.
No, let's delete it.
Wasn't that once?
Not give anyone any hint whatsoever. I could see the commercial per building, maybe $50, or do.
That was for CCA, Newell.
What?
Upon a time. That was for the CCA facility. Upon a time. I would agree they can.
No, this is under residential hotels.
I think you're
multiple family
carrying it
units.
Let's not go back and forth.
Yeah, never mind.
I'm sorry, that's what it says.
Gotcha.
And then page 8, can we make those a dollar amount? And $40.75, $4.75. Can we, take care of that way? And so that mine on 7 and 8 is what I had the questions on.
Good. Thank you, Newell. Appreciate it. Any other public comment? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Michael Sakachevsky. I commend you on the effort to make it simpler to know how much it will cost to build a house. That's a good thing. I just ask, I don't know when this comes into effect, but I would just ask, since we took great care and effort to understand our costs prior to getting involved in a project, I would ask that these increases in fees not apply to projects that are already under process, because we took the time to understand the fees at the time.
Right.
They're being changed and simplified, great, but to change them after we've started is a little unfair.
Yeah, gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Got a question for Russell when we're done.
I was just gonna, as far as the door permit,
Hold the mic down just a little bit.
sorry. As
Yeah.
far as the door permit, like, I guess some houses have a $4,000 door. But I think a lot of us have the basic door, like when you have to change out your front door because it needs the hurricane rated thing, and the door is $225 at Home Depot.
Right.
And now it's $100 permit. That's all. It's one of those, it's some of those where that is where it's kind of ridiculous. I understand when, some of the other stuff, but it's just, and I just have a question. Is there a permit for if you're replacing your water heater inside? Like it starts,
Yes.
not working right and you,
You're required by law to
Yeah.
get a permit.
okay, that's,
That's not considered an
Very
appliance.
good.
You got electrical.
Any other public comment? All right, seeing none. I do have a question. So, yeah, for these projects that are already underway, how does that work? Is there a grandfathering here, or?
Our intent was to make it so that it would be effective, obviously, the fees would be effective after the council approves them, not certainly with anything midstream right now or anything that's been applied for. As far as setting when you want to make the effective date, we can do that, whatever council's pleasure is. If you want to make it effective June 1st, that's fine.
I don't know, what do we think?
Can you make it so that if it's an ongoing project?
Turn on your mic, please.
Could you make it if it was an ongoing project currently, that those fees wouldn't apply? That the fees that they
Absolutely.
signed under would be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, that may get complex, but to me, that's kind of the right way to do it.
I
If
agree.
there's like using this as an example,
Right.
if there's 1, 2, 3 homes that are underway, to me, those fees should be set. Now, if they start a new project, a new home in, a month from now, that's a whole nother,
So are you
ballgame.
saying, and I'm sorry, I didn't catch what, Michael, you did come up and speak, right? I totally missed that. I was having a sidebar on something else, so
Oh,
I
man.
apologize.
No, we were
what
dealing
happened.
with this
Oh.
issue.
So is the council intent that, for instance, if you don't mind, I use a Kai, so you started building a house, are you saying that
Any
every
permit
house?
already- No.
Please come up to the mic.
The way I understand it, Russell, is they're just saying any permit that's already been pulled is based upon the old fee schedule. Any new permits would be required to be on the new fee schedule.
That's what I'm asking. So the next house that he's gonna submit would
next
be with
house
the
would
new
be the
fee?
new
Be the new fees.
Okay,
yeah.
then that's, okay, I'm clear.
I was just asking, as a for instance, the only significant change that I noticed here was the pool cost of the pool. It used to be a fixed $1,300. We knew every house is now going to have a pool, and we knew our fee cost would be $1,300.
Yeah.
Now you're changing it to 2% of the cost of the pool, which in some of our cases could be a significant increase. So because we based our project and put all our literature out and put all our planning out based on your $1,300 fee, I'm asking that for our project or any project that is currently in progress where all the materials are out already, and I can't increase my cost like the way just because you did, that it not apply to the projects that are even not the house that got started per se, but the houses that are about to be started in the next 6 months, 8 months, whatever you deem is fair.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't
Thank
know if
you.
we could do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
Can I ask you a
thank
question?
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind coming back up. So I understand what you're saying. You've already made, you've got your
I've got my
pricing.
price list out.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you handling the increases in lumber costs, the increases in labor costs, and everything else going on with inflation right now?
A lot of it, I take it on the chin,
Yeah, okay.
and I'm just trying not to take stuff on the chin before I
But
can.
don't you negotiate each house on an individual basis?
Our prices are out there, and we
Right.
change our prices periodically. It's really hard to go back and tell a guy, yeah, it's going to be more than.
Well, I mean, I built houses. It happens when they ask for more.
Yeah.
So, and when costs go up.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with your position, Mr. Mayor, on that.
So that's all right. Okay. So I think Russell, I think that's the intent. We're good with that as a council. Sure.
So if he has a house currently under development, these fees wouldn't apply. The next house he would
He would be
start-
on the old set of fees.
Yes, okay.
If he's pulled a permit.
If he's pulled the permit.
He's pulled a permit. That's right.
Good, perfect. All right, seeing no additional public comment is closed. Any further council comment on this? Seeing none. Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Once again, great job, Russell.
Thank you.
Thank
Russ.
you.
To all
Good
who
job.
helped.
Thank
of
you.
work.
Thanks
be
to everybody
commended
involved,
very much.
and I'll just say, I won't be looking for any more projects like this to take on.
All right, item number 16, please.
a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the First Amendment to the agreement between the Town of Southwest Ranches and SEPI Engineering and Construction, Inc. Agreement, extending the agreement for an additional 3-year term, authorizing the mayor, the town administrator, and the town attorney to execute the, it should be addendum to the agreement with SEPI Engineering and Construction, Inc., and providing for an effective date. Mayor, I just want to jump in real quickly on this one.
Good.
This is pretty much a very simple resolution that got a little messed up on town staff end, and that is, if you notice in your agenda, it doesn't have the exhibits. Okay, so the Exhibit A should be the actual agreement that was already signed by SEPI Engineering. The Exhibit B was the most masterful addendum that just said one very simple thing, and that is the rates of the town remain exactly the same. They're not changing those rates at all. The rates that are changing slightly are the ones that are cost recoverable rates for their services. 175 for a senior planning manager, 125 per hour for a planner, $55 an hour for an administrative clerk. Our fees remain the same for the town. The final thing that the wonderful addendum did was it extends their agreement for a 3-year period. So it's a 3-year extension and a slight modification of the rates for the cost recoverable services.
Motion to approve.
You have a second? You have a second?
I'm going to disagree with Keith, and I see Jeff wants to weigh in here as well. There actually is an increase for the town, but the town fees are discounted from the rate for the public. And Jeff, if you want to speak to the rates?
Yeah,
and
sure.
and the last time they were adjusted?
Sure. Well, the last time they were adjusted for the town was never.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
2001.
Wow.
So we've been working under those rates, which are long, far outdated.
So maybe this should be a 20-year agreement. Every 20 years, whether we need it or not, we change the rates.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're changing the town's rate, I recommend denial.
Yeah, and so we've increased it by 20 from 125 to 150,
Yeah.
which is again less than what we charge other municipalities, and it's less than cost recovery. And the cost recovery really needs to be at least where we've proposed it, because it needs to subsidize what we do for the town a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, it's been the same rate for all that time, and we think this is fair, and we didn't build in any desired increases over the 3-year term of the contract or any extension. You know, we just felt like, you know, we want the town to be able to have the planning services. We need to get, you know, put food on the table, and
Right.
it's a good compromise.
Excellent, excellent. You know, the partnership that we've had with you and the Milgram Group back then, SEPI now, it's been outstanding. There's a lot of confidence in the town that when our residents go and speak with you, that you have such a good understanding of what will fly in this town and what won't fly in this town and what we're about, and you know, keeping expectations and plans as they should be. That it's been an amazing partnership, and we appreciate all that partnership over the years.
I appreciate those sentiments, and I do want to also mention that this really doesn't have anything to do with SEPI versus Milgren. The rates have been old for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and obviously, you know, obviously we want a value for our residents, but we want to be fair as well. So these are certainly, you know, very reasonable rates, so thank you. Any other comments from the council on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Item number 17, approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Is there any comments, corrections to the minutes? Is there any public comment on the minutes? Corrections? Seeing none, public comment closed. Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Item number 18, appointments.
I make a motion that we keep Mr. Albritton as our primary.
I think he's done
Y'all
an
jump on that
exceptional
quickly,
job.
don't you?
Standing job,
I think he's earned
All
an
in favor?
extension at that job.
Aye.
Before he changes his
and
mind.
I'll be happy to
Don't
be,
jump on
and
that
I'll be happy to be
quickly.
first substitute.
Yeah. Is there any is there any comment from any council member other than Jim? Because he may object.
He
Wow.
likes it.
Throw me under the bus that fast.
Pretty much. Yeah, the bus just came through, Jim. No, Jim, we really appreciate your service on that.
It's been a very learning experience for me, and the people that are there, they're as dedicated to their communities as we are to ours. It's a pleasure. It really is. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Is there any public comment on this item?
Did you mention who the alternates were?
Oh, yeah, who's the alternate?
We said
Gary is.
first alternate, we need a second alternate as well.
And then David
And
is
Dave-
third,
Yes,
right?
David is third, yes.
I developed this hearing impediment.
Good. So, all right, Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Certainly. Before we do,
Yeah.
there was a motion, but I didn't get a second. I didn't hear a second.
Second.
David second. Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, that's before you knew you were.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good.
Motion to adjourn.
Excellent.
We did it already.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.